No, I
No,
have
bro,
not
I'm
seen
not a bitch. You're a
bitches.
bitch.
I have not seen bitch behavior.
Neil,
From Neil.
if I can just point out very, very conveniently for you, please ignore them. They're from down under. That's why we keep them down and under. It's just something natural. And I'm
Shut
sure we
up!
can.
I live in paradise, and you're jealous of it with your shitty weather days you call sun.
Not bad today, mate.
Can somebody answer me where I am?
Son.
You're in the place where flat Earth comes to die. Welcome.
Oh,
This say 24/7?
Saying 24/7.
Chemo just said that you were one of the big hitters, and I've just not personally heard of you. Sorry.
Big hitter. Wow. I am.
Just say you forget about it.
I'm a big shitter.
Just say forget about it.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
No, for real.
Hey, I'm walking here, but you know.
How did I
that's just
wind
me.
up here? Holy shit.
Chemo dragged you in. He's deceptive. He's a bitch.
This is a baller channel. Holy shit.
Yeah, this is Jim Pandas.
Really a baller channel? More of a social club.
Pandas, get the freak out of here.
It is.
That's
Debate
right.
Flat Earth and more. Welcome. We have nearly 3,000
I was
members.
wondering why there was so many freaking people on here. I'm like, wow, 24/7. There's a lot of people for me, it's 6 o'clock in the morning.
Hey, I'm walking here.
So I strayed. All right, I'll hang out for a while. I'll entertain you.
And this
Okay,
is like
can
being in the meatpacking district at sort of like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It's busy, man. Shit happens.
How
I
are you
don't know
going to
what time it
entertain
is.
us?
Time is a concept.
Okay,
That's 10 p.m. in the future.
Oh, actually, no, it's 7:30.
Yeah.
7:30.
Yeah, that's why I said it's 10 p.m. in the
I'm
future.
at 7 p.m. Davros, and we're in the
How
same
could-
country.
How could you be at 7 p.m.? Check your clock.
It's a mystery, mate.
So what's the story with this picture anyway? Can somebody explain this picture to me?
Sure,
Which
that's
picture?
that's a picture from a film called I think Electric Cowboy with Dustin Hoffman and the other dude. And that's actually one of his most famous pieces of dialogue from the film because he totally ad-libbed it, and it's a real taxi in New York.
No. I'm talking about this picture that
Randy's
everybody's
picture.
talking about.
Yep. One moment.
I've got it right
Well,
here.
that's a
Randy's
woodpecker
picture.
trying to hit a baseball.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah,
Chemo.
that's what I was wondering. Is it the one where he's trying to hit the baseball?
You're ridiculous, Chemo.
What are you on about?
The real one, the original.
Ah. Oh, yeah. I don't have that. Let me...
Oh, you don't have that one at hand. Well, quick, download it now.
I've got it now.
Yeah.
You've got that ability.
I know the ruler's fine.
Yeah. Look at those manipulations.
So, first question, Neil. Does this bring you back to the ball like Ranty? And why not, if no?
I want somebody to explain the picture to me. Why would it?
Well, you have to do the 2 months of research that Ranty did before you can come to that conclusion.
BioJules put up the Y for you, by the way.
I think it was more like 3 months, he said. Reggie said he spent more closer to 3 months on looking at it.
Just a nice crop version.
A quick explanation, and it's found in my picture, BioDuel. Essentially, the top part gives all of the pertinent information. Elevation, height, locations. The middle part is doing the Earth curve calculator to see what we would expect to be missing, comparing that to Google Earth image of that area, comparing that to the original picture, and comparing it. Then the bottom part is the trigonometry associated with a flat plane Earth, showing the angular size of the tower from the observer, showing the angular size of the mountain peak from the observer, and comparing those results to the picture.
That's too much information for me, buddy.
I know it is, but that's the
that
reason.
Picture's taken out of flat Earth.
What's that?
We don't ascribe to those models, so
right. And as soon as you guys do provide
flat Earth is not a model, so
if you once you guys do figure out a model that works together with all of your explanations,
why would I want to figure out a freaking model?
We would
too early in the morning for this shit. I'm gonna listen.
We can only operate with the information that
a
you guys
really
present us.
simple version as to why it shows that the Earth is curved here. Like the layman's
That
term.
picture, if you guys think that picture shows Earth curve, yous are fucking nuts.
The effect of Earth curve. I would not claim to see curvature. I would claim to see the effect of a curving Earth.
And the difference is what?
Top of the mountains below the building.
So
It
is
would
that
be-
Earth curvature? Is that
It'd be
Earth
like
curvature?
Yeah,
It'd
because
be
when
like
we
seeing,
when we apply perspective as normal, if it was flat, they'd be way above the height of the tower. So it's not perspective that's causing this, and this is part of the problem. So it's not perspective that's pulling those mountains down below it. So it's something else,
How do you
and
know
that's
it's
the
not
start of the
perspective?
problem.
How do you know it's not perspective then? What?
Because we can
what's the-
calculate the angular size of an object, and that's something that we can reference based on visual observation, and there is a ratio to angular size and distance. So we can use that ratio to say this is how big it should look. So this is something that we do a lot.
Did you see
Perspective doesn't.
Did you see Bev's time lapse on it?
Yeah, that's a really good time lapse. The GIF that he made. I'm assuming that's the one you're talking about. That's a really good one, though. There's different refraction values and different refraction effects going on. But if you look at each
What point
frame,
was the picture taken when the Blackpool Tower was going up and down like a fiddler's fucking elbow?
correct, yes. So the angular size of that tower is changing. It's increasing, decreasing. It is changing. But so is
it
the mountain.
sort of dismisses
Hold on,
your image,
I'm not
then,
done.
does it?
But I'm not done. But I'm not done. So it does change. But you can see that the
Believe
mountain
you
peak,
me, you
the
are
mountain
done.
peak,
Ryan,
the mountain peak
May not be
also,
done. He's not listening.
that's fine. The mountain peak also changes
Yeah,
at
go
the
ahead.
same rate. And if you notice, that mountain peak is never above the tower angularly, no matter what the refraction levels are. So that was a great GIF. I'm glad that Bev created that.
So you think there'll be the same amount of distortion, although it's 80 kilometres further back than the Blackpool Tower, yeah?
yeah, pretty
can
much because it's over land.
We can only operate with the information given, and through all the pictures presented, the same effect is happening, the same argument exists.
What they're saying, Brian, is that this picture looks like what they have in their mind of how the Earth looks.
No.
Their model.
Yeah. Just reaffirming their complete and utter fucking
Their idea, yeah,
brainwashing.
they're saying, we have an idea in our mind, and this is what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah, we have an idea of, well, because the Flat Earth has no idea how anything works and won't even claim to be Flat Earthers anymore.
I mean,
Because they're that confident in their position. How amusing. We can all use a bit of ridicule, Chemo. Come up with an argument.
He was like, I'm not going to argue this. You guys have got an idea that you want me to debunk. I mean, how
No,
can
I don't.
anybody argue
I don't want you to
against
debunk it at all, because I don't think you can.
What is the argument?
We don't care what you think.
Your argument is
you'll progress nothing, like
yeah, but
Pinky
what is
in the
argument
brain.
exactly, Sheeple? Your argument is we have an idea of how the Earth looks, and this picture looks like the idea we have.
Wrong.
What is it then?
We have a known distance to a known height of a mountain with known heights of objects in front of it, with known distances to those, and we know how angular resolution works. So therefore, we can deduce what it would look like if there was a planar surface, i.e. the water that's seen in front of the photo was a flat line all the way out to the mountain's base. That you claim water's flat and level, so that would have to be the case, right? So
Based on what?
That's not what we see.
What is all this based on?
Based on what you say, water is flat and level.
You're basing this picture off what we say now.
Well, what we can
I'm
say is
comparing
that
the
picture
reality.
totally debunks a flat Earth.
Yeah. I'm comparing the reality of the two things.
So you say you
with
follow the
parameters that
follow
would
the-
shift goalposts, and before you pick up the goalpost at either side, I'm going to stop you by making sure you agree with me that you say that water is observably flat
Hold on, sheep.
and
Slow
level.
It down, slow it down. So, modeled this on a flat Earth, yes?
Do you know what a planar surface is?
Well, we're looking for what is relevant about this observation. Yes?
I modeled this on a planar surface.
What is significant about this observation? Why is it so special?
What's significant
Yeah.
is a mountain with a known elevation of 763 meters is sitting below a tower of a known height of 158 meters.
Who's measured these?
Well, topographical maps
Short
have
answer, Randy did.
elevation heights, and the people who built the tower in Blackpool have building plans.
We know the height of the tower because someone built it. What about the mountain?
Yeah.
Who measured that?
Elevation heights. Quite
Who
easy.
measured that?
It's not hard to do.
So who did
I can
it?
tell you a
Then if it's
company
so
that's
easy?
definitely measured. Hold on a second, Kibo, I'll tell you a company that's definitely measured that. I'm not sure the individual, but the Ordnance Survey have definitely measured that.
Go on then, show us what they did.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No.
We don't have
Lazy
any
prick.
substanti- We can't
That could be a bit of
substantiate
research
these
you
claims,
could do, Kimo. Like you say, do your own research. Maybe you
expect-
could do that.
no,
Randy
you
did it.
expect Neil
Have
to
you never heard?
argue-
Have you never heard of the Ordnance Survey, Chemo? Have you never seen an Ordnance Survey map? Are you denying that Ordnance Survey exists?
Done all this. Who's doing it?
Do you deny that Ordnance Survey maps exist?
Who made these?
No flat
Ordnance
Earth.
Survey
Do you
maps?
deny that Ordnance Survey maps exist?
Who made these maps?
No, Chemo, answer the question.
Who?
Do you deny that Ordnance Survey maps exist?
Who made these maps?
Do you deny that Ordnance Survey maps exist?
Alright, so
Ordnance
I'm gonna
Survey
mute you,
made
just
them, the
not going around in
company.
a circle. If you don't tell me who, let's move forward.
Yeah,
Why does it
Ordnance
matter
Survey
who
made it.
made them? Why does
Chemo,
it matter?
Ordnance
Can you show that?
Survey made the map.
Well, can you show that? Then we can talk about it.
Have you never seen an Ordnance Survey map? Is that what you're telling me?
Show what you're talking about. We're starting from
No,
scratch.
no. Have you never seen have you ever heard of Ordnance Survey?
No, there was
Let's
nothing
start
we've
there.
heard of. We're starting from scratch when it comes on observation.
No. Have you ever heard of Ordnance Survey, Chemo?
No, we've heard of nothing. Nobody knows anything from this point.
Okay, cool. In that case, I'm not going to bother to educate
Excellent.
until
So
you
stop
have the
talking
foundation to
before
have
you
an
do.
argument.
Stop talking then.
Yeah.
So the idea is we're starting from scratch. There is no known
Okay,
anything. Nobody knows anything.
refute it then. Refute
Nobody
the
knows
known height
anything
of the
about this
mountain
world.
and tell us how you did that.
Nobody knows anything about this world right now. We don't have
No
any
one
measurements.
knows anything.
Chemo, I've just put the elevation chart graph in the chat. It's perfectly flat, mate. Take no fucking notice of them.
Oh,
For
I know
somebody
that.
who done 3 months fucking research on this, and all you have to do is look at the elevation chart, and it's as flat as a witch's tit.
Jesus, have you ever been up to Lake Coniston? It's anything but
Fiddler's
flat.
elbow, which is
Fucking hilly.
Charts don't show curvature. They level everything out at sea level.
All right,
Depending on
sheep,
what they-
where you at? Where you at? All my people
Well,
inside in the back, where you at? So, Sheeple, what are the heights to this mountain? Before we can talk about known.
The height to the mountain?
Yeah, but who measured
What do you
it?
What do you mean?
What, the measurements,
Granted-
mate? Just measurements.
The
mate.
mountain is 763 meters,
Verify
and
that.
that's Dow Crag, the one right behind Blackpool Tower. I know this. Do you know how I know this?
How?
Because I bothered to watch Ranty's explanation of it on Border Cats, which you haven't yet. But
Yeah, but
here you are, a week later, plus wanting to argue it. Who the fuck are you?
You saw Neil was like, I'm not arguing this, I'm out of here. Because he's
It was
thinking
6
you
o'clock
guys-
in the morning. He had an excuse. You've been doing this for over a week without watching the 30 minutes required.
No. Like I said, if you've got an idea in your mind,
It's bullshit, but I haven't watched it. But I'll make an opinion about it.
all we need is the
2 minutes.
results.
2 minutes of
people.
fucking research on Google Earth will show you it's on a flat plane.
Fuck's sake, that's an
minutes.
elevation profile, man. Get your
Yes,
fucking head out your ass.
Hey, Rabbit,
Fucking
elevation isn't
plane.
relevant.
For fuck's
No,
sake, dude. You
There
were
is
you were
no
you were
curvature.
lost, mate. You were lost.
Rabbit, come on, dude.
No
This is-
curvature.
Elevation is not what you want to look at, Rabbit. Elevation.
Oh my god, dude. Please. I wish you were joking, and I know you're not. And that's
Are you telling me Google Earth is wrong then?
No, we're telling you that elevation is not the key criteria. You're looking at the wrong thing. Elevation doesn't matter.
Are you saying Google Earth is wrong?
No, I'm saying elevation doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter in your fucking mental
chemo position.
No, because
who made
bullshit you're in?
You've got to adopt the chemo level of standard. So who made that elevation chart?
Google Earth.
Well, you don't trust Google Earth.
No, I need to know who made it, not which company, because when I said Ordnance Survey, that wasn't good enough for chemo, Brian. So we've obviously got to hold you to the chemo level of standard.
No,
so you
I'm not talking about fucking chemo.
If you can't
show us how they did it.
Yeah, if you can't tell me who did that elevation chart, I can't accept it. I'm sorry.
This is so funny.
Accept it or not, that's the fucking truth.
It's fine to accept it.
Show us how
What
they did
Ranty is
it.
doing is fucking lying.
No, dude.
You cannot spend 2 months looking at.
Explain where 350 meters went, Brian. Do it.
Within 2 minutes, I fucking totally debunked it. And
no, you haven't. You've totally misunderstood an elevation profile. That's all.
It was debunked in minutes.
What do you mean misunderstood? Elevation profile is a fucking elevation profile. Perfect.
Elevation does not matter, Mabbit. Elevation is not what's important.
It's the elevation missing from the mountain that's 4.6 times taller than the tower in front of it.
Yes. That's not
so
a problem,
therefore, you've got to explain if it's flat as... Oh, it ain't a coin though, is it? It's a tower. It's a tower 20 kilometers away.
People,
don't talk like a cunt.
Shouting.
You're sounding like fucking Ranty now.
No, Ranty's much more polite than me. What are you talking about?
So, Babbitt,
he hasn't got a fucking clue. He's just a liar and a deceiver like the rest of you.
The trick
of the elevation, Babbitt, is that on a sphere, elevation remains constant all the way around the sphere if it's a perfect sphere.
You do not live on a fucking sphere. Water cannot support its own mass. It cannot form a curve.
Let me just finish.
You do not live on a sphere.
Yeah, but let me just finish. So
you look at a ridiculous assumption.
So if you look at elevation data, and you imagine that we're on a sphere, then you should see exactly what you see, which is correct. That's not going to tell us anything about curvature, though. Elevation does not hold any hints as to whether we're curving or not.
Because there fucking ain't any, you twat.
Well, it doesn't hold any hints one way or the other. It doesn't hold any hints one way or the other as to whether we're curving.
If water is on a curved or sloping surface, it will run off to find
it. It will not change its elevation. It will not change its elevation.
Yes, it fucking will.
No, that's a mistake you're making.
No, I'm not making any fucking mistake.
I promise you that if you think about it...
The longest river is 1,000 miles long, and it drops 2 meters in 1,000 fucking miles.
Okay, so that's an elevation change.
It's the slowest flowing river on Earth.
That's an elevation change. But curvature doesn't change elevation.
In 1,000 miles.
That's fine. That's an elevation change,
fucking 8 inches a mile.
That's an elevation change. That's fine. But a curve is not an elevation change. That's the key.
Don't talk like a cunt.
Don't talk like that, dude. Just be a person, be an adult, and try to understand what's being said to you. The curvature.
You're talking fucking shit.
The curvature does not change the elevation, Brian.
You're gonna lose it in a minute.
I'm not gonna lose it. It would be nice if he would just be a little bit more polite, though. The curvature is not elevation.
Absolutely fucking deluded. I'm telling you.
It's okay, but just can we just? How about we just interrupt each other? Let's just
you don't understand, and you can't accept that you can't understand.
So just try to hear what I'm saying for once. Just try to hear what I'm saying, Mavitt. Curvature isn't going to change the elevation, okay? Curvature, in and of itself, is a constant elevation.
No, there's water lower
No,
than
it's
this,
not. Level,
yes,
it's fucking flat level.
Right.
Not fucking
model,
curve.
And the world model
it'd be called C-curve, wouldn't it? Not fucking level, you twat.
In a globe model, curvature does not change the elevation until you fully understand that.
It's only a model. It's a fucking model in your head. It's not reality.
In reality, if it were a sphere, it'd also be the same thing. And so we know that it is.
No, it would not.
And in fact, elevation data doesn't tell us
sticking to a slope, you twat.
You really got to stop interrupting, man. It's kind of annoying.
Will you talk fucking nonsense.
No, we're not. I'm telling you
You've
the
got
truth. You don't seem to
fucking
understand it.
talking fucking nonsense now.
You don't seem to understand it. You're never gonna understand it. You interrupt every time I start talking.
People's brains
Why don't you
with
just
this
let him
You just start
finish?
screaming over top of me. You are the one that's wrong here, Matt. I promise you, you're the one that has it wrong.
Yeah, but Veach, you're inflating
You should
it.
know
Why
you
don't
have
let
it
him
wrong
finish?
because I'm not the only one
I
telling you.
have not got it wrong.
Yes, you do, Brian. I'm trying to explain it to you, but you won't listen.
Level is fucking flat level line, not fucking curved.
Curvature on a sphere does not change elevation, Brian. Think about that.
Curvature is curved, flat and level is level. Flat line. Don't get them fucking mixed up.
Curvature does not change elevation, Matt.
Yeah, Veach.
You're a fucking moron if you believe that fucking nonsense.
I'm not,
the
though. You know
worrying
I'm not.
thing for me, and I'll tell you this from the bottom of my heart, is you lot are fucking educated people, and
Yes,
you have let
unlike
me
you.
short your fucking brains.
Except that you're not educated, and yet you think that you know better than
You don't
Yet
need
you're
to be
just confused.
fucking educated to understand fucking
Clearly, you're
common
not
sense.
educated. Clearly, that's not the case because you think curvature would change elevation.
They have pickled your brain to the state where they convince you that what you're looking at is not reality.
Well, then just address the idea that
And
curvature
it's
is not
fucking
elevation.
amazing that
You
the
got it all figured out, Brian.
intelligent fucking ones, can't see through their fucking lies.
Okay. Your rhetoric is not that
That's
interesting, I
what
promise.
worries
It's just boring when you interrupt.
That's what fucking concerns me.
Hold on, bro. So if you can understand why
Because they have
curvature doesn't change
fucking
elevation,
twisted
you'll
your
go a long
thinking
way to understand what we're
process.
saying. But you do have to stop interrupting. It's it's just obnoxious.
No, I'm not, because you're all talking fucking shite.
Aha.
Well,
So
I
the
would
rule
use
is that if you're talking shite, I can
And
interrupt
you
you,
will
and that's
never,
okay.
ever.
Oh, that's rather interesting.
Oh, they've muted you, Brian. Start the clock.
Well, you wouldn't be quiet. Other people were trying to have a say, Chemo.
Well, you got
Come
Veach
on.
over talking.
There is no other say.
Well, sorry if other people wanted to say something to other people in a
but why
conversation
don't
that's
you
got
just let him
40 fucking
finish?
people in it.
Everyone else gets
You
to
have
finish.
got to get this fucking nonsense out of your heads. Level is not fucking curved. It's
Right then,
complete
Brian, explain
fucking
this then.
nonsense.
Explain
God
this.
damn it.
If the flat water in front of the tower, visible in the photo, is flat and level, why is the taller mountain shorter in the photo?
Why is the sun so small that you can hide it with a dime?
Oh, okay. Ask
This
me
is
a
the guy
question.
claiming that we're denying
End of
the
story.
reality in the picture.
Got to answer
Yeah.
our
Listen to him.
questions, not we
Look
answer
You
at
have
your
got
questions.
to go beyond their
The
fucking
reality of that
lies and
photograph
deception.
tells you the earth is not flat. You are the
You
one
are
wallowing in
fucking
denial.
intelligent people. Most of you are very intelligent people. You have got to use your intelligence and see through.
They're very
You
intelligent.
better wise up and quit over talking people, cunt.
They're very intelligent, but they pick.
No, you're denying the reality. You're the one that brought that up. You're the one that leveled that accusation, and you're the one that's doing it. You are projecting. You are guilty. You and all your little flatwit buck friends.
Oh, so you get to mute him to monologue like he was.
You do it
Where's
too.
the fairness in that?
Level
Fuck
is
yourself,
not
Emo.
So you mute him to make a
times,
point.
Chemo.
So I should
Fuck
mute
you,
Foolish
Chemo.
and Sheep
Yeah.
to make my point.
Yeah, I will. If he's
Level
going to just
is
talk
not
over me
one
like
abuse.
that while I'm talking, yes, he's doing it tactically.
You're right, Brian. Level is not curved, and their brains are pickled.
Hang on.
They
What's
are,
the-
mate.
Wait,
They are, and I'm glad because I can hear you are educated, and I'm
God.
glad you fucking have seen through their nonsense.
So what's level? What does level mean?
Level is a level flat line, not
No,
a fucking line with a curve or a bend in the front.
All right. You gave me your answer. No need to carry on like a prat.
Well, I don't have to keep fucking repeating myself.
Brian, you need to settle down, dude. It's not your attitude is not welcome here. You have to be more
It's
calm.
the-
You have to be more fair.
It's that the description of level that you used is not the one that we are used to.
Well, it is the truth. That is the difference.
No. So level is just perpendicular to the surface.
No, level is
many
fucking level. flat.
Okay.
All right, hold on a second,
Brian.
Brian, hold on.
Answer the
Brian,
question.
hold on.
Fuck's
Slow
sake.
down. Stop a second.
If I built a table
Brian,
and
can you
it's
hear
got
me?
a fucking hump in the
Brian,
middle.
do you hear me?
I do, mate, yes.
Ranty's just posted a picture in...
Oh, fuck Ranty. He's a fucking arsehole. Fucking backstabbing bastard. Tetanus the cunt.
Nonetheless,
Just
but
block him.
He's got
Everybody block him, because I'm telling you what, you ballers, he's fucking taking you cunts for a ride as well.
Guaranteed he isn't.
He's
Hang on,
here
I think
for
it's time
one
to
thing
block
and
Brian.
one thing only, and that is fucking money. That's all he's fucking interested in.
Well,
No,
one
he's
thing
not.
One thing I can say, Brian, is he lets other people finish their sentences whether they agree with him or not.
Absolutely.
There's no...
Why didn't you answer my
agreement
question, Brian? What are you afraid of?
It is common sense.
He's scared because he's a
Level
coward.
does not fucking curve in any way, shape or form.
But Brian, you've
Well, answer my
completely
question
missed the
then.
question.
Answer
Go
my
for it,
question
Sheeple.
then, Brian.
I didn't hear your question. I was talking over you, apparently.
You said that water is flat and level. There is clearly water in the picture. Before the tower, before the mountain. Based on your logic of it being flat and level because of that water, why is the 763 meter mountain shorter than the 158 meter tower if it was a flat plane all the way out based on that water line?
Well, if you modeled it correctly...
And don't tell me about the sun,
People,
answer the question.
If you modeled it correctly, like with
I'm sorry, but he asked Brian that question.
Got-
Don't answer Brian.
We've got Ranty's picture here. Well,
Timo, stop interrupting. Brian's going to answer this question.
It's fucking common sense. The further something is away from you, the smaller you see it.
Right, Brian,
And
do you
if
think that...
something in front of that is smaller than it, it can end up blocking it.
Right, but
Because
do you
that
think...
object that is further
do you
away
think-
reduces in angular size.
Brian,
It's
But the
fucking
angular,
not-
Brian,
not
the
rocket
angular
science.
size of the mountain at that distance is taller than the angular size of the tower at the distance the tower is away from the observer. Therefore, due to angular size, the mountain should be fucking taller anyway, due to angular size.
Your thumb up in front of the Blackpool Tower and it'll block the Blackpool Tower.
Right,
Is your
right,
thumb bigger than Blackpool Tower?
I've got the numbers, you twat.
Right, Brian, I'm
You
going
haven't
to ask...
got the fucking numbers, you twat.
Brian, I'm going to ask, do you think that we can calculate and predict what
No,
we should
I
expect?
don't. I think you're all full of fucking shit, and my phone's going flat, and I've had to come up and plug it in.
Good. Throw it away.
No, I just plugged my phone in. You don't get rid of me that easy.
So what do you think about the
Yeah, we
trigonometry what do you think about the trigonometry people do? Is it that we're doing it wrong, or do you think trigonometry doesn't work?
What I know is, not what I think, what I know is, any image is distorted by the atmosphere. Everything we see is not actual in reality. Like
doesn't
railway
look like-
tracks never ever come together and meet. But when we look at them or take a picture of them, they seem to do exactly that. But it's not real. And it's the same as your fucking mountain and your Blackpool Tower. It's just perspective. That is
Yes,
all.
But Brian,
And that
I just
perspective
told you.
changes from minute to minute, from hour to hour.
All right, listen to
depending
this
on the
deranged
fucking-
lunatic. Brian, don't monologue. Just quit. You're not saying anything new.
Don't talk over me, Kerr, for fuck's sake. I don't
Oh, fuck
ever
you.
talk.
I don't even want to hear that from you. Knock it off. End this.
No, it ain't
Make
your
your
fucking
fucking
server,
point.
is it?
Make your fucking point.
The point is, Rant is a lying bastard, and you
Okay,
lot that
that's
are
it.
clever
That's done.
should
You're done.
see through this
You're done,
deception.
Mabbit.
That's my
Mabbit, shut
point.
up. Mabbit, shut up.
Bollock.
You're done.
Bollock.
You're not just going to sit here
Bollock.
and call people assholes for an hour. Now listen,
Bollock.
anybody who thinks that they can get through to this fucking knuckleheaded nutcase, you're fucking boring the hell out of everybody else. This man is either not serious or so deluded he's unreachable. Have fun with it. But listen, you don't need angular size of the mountain to make this
Right,
point.
wrap it up, Curb.
You
Wrap
can
it
use
up.
the elevation of the top of the tower.
Yeah, wrap it up.
And the elevation or altitude of just a blimp. A blimp at that distance, at that height. You don't need to get into the whole angular size thing. Just your angle of view to it. And that'll make the key point here and get rid of all of the horizon and distortion and obstruction down low.
Wrap it up. Major point.
Oh, where did
Fuck yourself, Chemo.
What was your point?
That you should be hung for sedition, according to John Studger.
Yeah, you don't have a point.
Did you not hear my point, Chemo?
You don't have a point.
You don't listen, Chemo.
Well, what was your
You
point?
have a point, and it's the
point?
top of your head.
What was your point?
You're a goddamn no, you're fucking retarded. You don't deserve to have a point explained to you, Chemo.
Well, why are you explaining it then?
I'm not.
Then why explain a point
Not
to
to
him then?
you. Not to either of you two. I was talking to the rest of the group. To the people who keep trying to explain shit to you fucking stonewalling retards.
Right, you're monologuing now. What's your point?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
That took 10 seconds. Fuck you and your monologue claims.
10 seconds.
You
will never get
lying
back.
cunt.
See
Tom
what
is
you've
just
done, Ranty, you
construct.
fucking arsehole. You've upset fucking Curve now as well.
Fuck you, Mabbit. Trick lessons and everything else. Talking about everything except for the main point of this. Get back to that.
I was going to
Make
say
everybody want to fucking leave the server.
Curve,
Go
it's going to
ahead.
be all right. It's too early to be this pissed off, man.
Hang on.
It's
So,
not.
Brian,
I've been up
what
for
if you do the
hours,
measurement?
Biodual, and you're not the arbiter of what's all right, Biodual. You're one of the
not
main
either, Curve.
fucking offenders.
Right, Curve,
Yeah, you're not
messing
either,
up the
Curve.
chat here. You're ruining the flow.
Hey,
We're trying to talk about the
Yeah,
picture.
actually am. I am one of the arbiters of what's all right.
Yeah, no,
Shut
that's
up,
all right.
Biodual.
You can enforce the rules, that's cool, but you can't dictate how we discuss things.
Exactly.
Yes, he can.
No, he
Yes,
can't.
he fucking
No, he
can.
can't.
Because you do it too, Chemo. So you keep
Well,
out.
we keep on
So,
topic.
Brian, what if you did the measurements from the top of the things down? So instead of going from the bottom up, you went from the top down. Would that change your perspective?
Would that change my perspective? No.
Oh,
It's
so if you
distorted.
measure from the top down, so if you use the top of the mountain as your datum point, that wouldn't change your outlook on these measurements?
I'll tell you what we'll do. Me and you will go up there and do a physical fucking measurement.
How the fuck am I supposed to get to Blackpool? I live in
Me
Australia,
and
you
you will do it
nutter.
because other than that, you are taking measurements off a fucking image.
Oh no! I actually went and
Images
looked. I went and looked them up,
are
mate.
Images are distorted. All
Brian,
of them.
Brian, I looked up the measurement for Del Crag. Okay. What if we took the data point from the top of the mountain,
Yeah.
right, and then we took
And?
a data point at the top of the tower,
Yeah.
and then we take another data point at the bottom of the tower,
Yeah. And
right?
check
Ha-
them against
ha-
what?
So the datum point, which is what we've made all these measurements from, was the top of the mountain.
Hold on, I think I've got that exact information for you. Hold on. Chat. Right. That picture has all of the datum points in it. If you have a look on the left hand, I'm only on my phone, so I can't fucking see it. But if you enlarge it, you will see all the datum points on there.
Yeah. So can you explain to me?
To sea level.
But hang on. Over the distance between the tower and the mountain, which is less than 1 degree, right? How is it that a mountain that is 4 times taller than the tower is shorter than it.
Perspective.
No. I'm talking about
Yes, yes.
actual size of the thing.
So you're saying now Blackpool Tower is 4 times smaller than the mountain, but it is actually bigger than the mountain.
Well,
Is
if you
that
want
what
to
you're
actually work it out, it's 5 times bigger than the tower.
Right. So the mountain is 5 times larger than Blackpool Tower, but actually Blackpool Tower is larger than the mountain. Is that what you're saying?
No. From that position, the tower is taller than the mountain. How the fuck does that happen?
What are you comparing it against? An observation by any chance?
Brian.
Where
I'm actually
perspective distorts every fucking thing?
Hang on. There's a post in between the tower and the roller coaster.
A image where it is all distorted. You are taking actual measurements and putting them against an image that we know is distorted.
But are the measurements? Hang on. Forget the image. Wait, Brian. Forget the image. The heights of the objects and the distance between them.
Right.
How do you explain it?
How do I explain the height of the building and the distance between them? That's how the mountain evolved up to that height, and they built the Blackpool Tower to that height, and the distance between, I would explain that they built Blackpool Tower that far away from the mountain. That's how I'd explain them.
Yeah, but this is where it will totally flip your lid. If you went in between the... Hang on, I haven't made my explanation yet.
Go on.
If you go between the tower and the mountain, will the tower and the mountain look the same size?
If I go between the tower and the mountain. So not from the viewing point of that picture.
If you go in between the tower and the mountain, I think it's about 40 kilometers.
What, the exacts in the middle between the two?
Yeah.
Would they look the same size?
Well, if it's according to perspective, they should.
What, something 5 times larger than something else would look the same size if it was the same distance away from me? Are you fucking lunatic?
There you go. Cool. I just worked out your ignorance.
Okay, so Brian, they're saying...
If you believe a mountain that is 5 times taller than the Blackpool Tower, if you're the very same distance away from it, is going to look the same size as Blackpool Tower.
But what they're
yeah,
saying,
is that what you're saying?
It's like
you're fucking mental.
No.
They have tickled your brain.
The ocean, right?
No.
Mountain is on the other side of the curve.
But that is
just
not...
put me between
Brian,
the two. So I'm an equal distance away from them both.
You didn't listen to my question. I said, would they be the same size? Not are they?
Would they look the same size?
Oh, God.
What are you saying?
You're like talking to a brick fucking wall.
Well, you said you're going to put me in between the tower and the mountain,
Would
and then I am supposed
the same height?
Davros, when have you ever heard of brick walls? That's stupid shit.
The same height as each other.
Wall can hold up an argument curve.
Or their same actual heights. Is that what you mean? Would they be their same actual heights? Is that what you mean?
No, I mean, is it that one's going to look like a toothpick and one's going to look like a fucking marshmallow? You idiot.
You're really bad at this, Mabbit.
If you put me between the two items, their distance from sea level would be exactly the fucking same. Doesn't matter where I am, they would be the same height from sea level. However, because one is 5 times bigger than the other, I would imagine the mountain would look bigger than the Blackpool Tower if I was stood exactly the same distance away from them both. Would that not be a fair estimation?
Okay, then how does your perspective argument now work on the other side of the tower?
Because one's in front of the other.
But you just said that the mountain's bigger.
Yes, but it reduces in angular size the further it gets away from you. Put
And this
your
is
thumb
where
in front
this
of the
is where
sun.
your
Is
fail
your
happens.
There's a simple question, Brian. Do you think that we can calculate angular size based on distance to an object, so we should know which should be bigger or smaller?
No.
Okay, I disagree with that because we use that quite a lot to create pretty, architectural effects.
Do you
And
know
it's
how
been
much
used a lot.
distortion you've got between you and the object?
That part of the world, not very much, because I know sort of, the Lancashire area reasonably okay.
You don't know how much it's being distorted by.
Yeah, but the thing is you're talking about a huge amount of distortion, which would deform the image. Yeah. So when we get distortion, it's going to make the image look different from what it is in reality when we don't have that distortion. Now, when I look at that image, and I've been to Lake Coniston and bits of Lake District, I've been up there for holidays and shit. That all looks pretty good to me. I go and look at multiple different pictures. They all look exactly the same. So I'm not seeing this distortion that you're talking about.
Because you don't know the actual size. We only can see what we see. You don't know what fucking
closer
size.
to the
I'm looking
mountain
at
and
a
it
tree
looks
now.
the same. There's going to be less distortion when I'm closer to that mountain than when I'm further away from it. Yeah, and if it looks the same, I can say, yeah, I'm not very distorted then, is it?
Right, well, I'm looking out the bedroom window now. There's a tree about, 300 or 400 yards away. I can put my thumb up and it covers that tree.
Is that tree distorted? No, is that tree distorted?
It's
Yeah,
only as big as my thumb.
Yeah, but Brian, what I'm saying is that tree at 300 or 400 meters, when you get to like 50 meters from it, does it look the same? Is it distorted in your vision?
No, but it's angular size is
Okay, so we're talking about distortion and how distortion would affect the angular size of an object. Okay, so let's stay on topic. Now I know I've got a tree outside my window, and you're right. If I put my thumb right next to my eye, then I can't see it. If I move it away, now I can see more. Now that looks like a fairly regular change in its size as I move it away from my eye. I reckon I could work out a system to say how much of that tree my thumb would cover based on the distance it is from my eye. That looks like something I reckon we could work out. And I think we have worked that out.
Yes, I agree with you. In a percentage, totally agree with you. But how high is that tree? Tell me how high the tree is.
I don't know, about 70 feet.
Level,
and it's,
how high is the tree?
It's about 70 feet tall. It's a reasonably decent sized tree. Not too tall, not too short. About 70 feet.
So you wouldn't know, would you?
Yeah,
you
I do.
could work a percentage out.
Actually, no, Brian, I do know how tall it is because I know that the gables of my roof are 61 foot off the floor. I'm in the first floor, and that tree is only about 10 to 12 feet above the gables. It doesn't quite reach the bridge of the roof of my house. So yes, I've got a fucking good way of being reasonably accurate on that measurement. Is that not a fair analogy that I've just drawn there to give a reasonable estimation of the height of the tree, mate?
And how far away is it?
From my house, it's about 30 meters. Now, what I could do is I could actually go and measure a distance out from that tree, and I could use trigonometry to give you a better answer if I could be asked.
Well, you could just go and measure the fucking tree, couldn't you?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing with trigonometry. I'm measuring the tree, Brian.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I am.
From your distance, you don't know how tall that fucking tree is.
No, but if I measure the distance to the tree, so I'm still going to be using a tape measure to do this, and then I take it some angle from that distance, yeah, I can definitively work out the height of that tree, mate.
Right, now do that over, how far away was the 80 kilometres, was it, the mountains?
I'm not sure. I've got all the stats in front of me. But
size reduction, the distortion with the atmosphere. It's fucking nonsense.
But you want to the angular size thing.
Never use an image to create a fucking measurement. Never.
Brian, we're not using the image to create the measurement. We're using
Yes, you are.
We're using the facts of the matter which is we have an observation, which is the tower is higher than the mountain. We know how tall the tower is because we fucking built it. We know how tall the mountain is because we fucking measured it. And then we can start asking some questions about that observation. And one of the problems we have is when we look at the angular size reduction for those mountains at the distance they're at compared to the fucking tower, it says that the tower shouldn't be taller. That's what our experience tells us, Brian. I don't know how I can put it any more simply than that.
Brian?
I've stunned him with logic, Timo.
You there, Brian?
I rendered him speechless. He couldn't cope with the emotional trauma of hearing the truth about the globe Earth and realizing that his entire foundation of flatness has been totally whipped from under his feet. And he now needs to come to terms with that emotional stress. That's my thought, anyway.
Brian! Where we got to?
That's worse emotional stress than we thought, Kimo.
Emo, you sound worried another flat earther is leaving.
What? No, not at all, not at all. I mean, for me, these things are exciting times because we get to find out if there is actual geometry now. And what I wanted to discuss actually was this Ranty.
Fantastic, isn't it?
I don't think anyone's really addressing.
Which image?
This one here.
That one. Yeah, well, that's quite self-explanatory. Do you understand it?
In it then. What?
Okay. The bottom one shows what we would expect to see if the water was flat level and the earth was flat, going out from that directly from the line of sight of the camera. Unfortunately, the top one shows what we'd see on the earth based on the curvature model and the size and radius and all the rest of the things we say it is. So which one looks more like the picture?
Well, again, are we talking about computer models and modeling reality?
Which one looks more like the photo?
I don't think
or the picture.
I don't think any of them look like. I don't think any of
So the
computer
Blackpool Tower on a globe doesn't look anything like the one on the right of that.
No, none of those.
There's no similarities whatsoever.
No, listen up. So none of those pictures represent reality. Because you have to include the atmospheric lensing on the flat Earth, and the one in the top with the globe. You've got to show where the horizon is. Drop away. So you'd have to extend this image, like make it larger and wider, and then you would show a full panoramic, wider, longer lens, and then you could say if this is the beginning of a flat Earth model, the one on the bottom, you should be able to extend that flat Earth model, see more.
Right. We can do any of those things, but what all that is, Chemo, is the known heights of the mountain and the tower modeled on a perfectly flat ground versus the known heights of the mountain and tower modeled on the globe
On
using the
plane,
distances
the one
known
at the
between
bottom.
both. Hold on.
Go on.
And Brian Mabbott brought up a good point about angular size changing as further an object gets away from you. And in this case, the mountain shown in that bottom half of the picture is exactly what we would expect to see if the Earth was flat.
No, that's not what we would.
Okay, well, tell me what we were meant to expect then.
That's what I'm trying to point out. You would have to show with this flat Earth model here how a ship, how a boat, mountain, the sun disappear on a flat plane, and then we would correct you. Say, well, no, that's not how this would work. You made this up yourself.
No. You have to explain why the photo in both the crisp, beautiful picture taken by Kevin Jackson and the mediocre quality photo taken by Biv's son, thanks Biv's son, is the similar, and in both, the mountains are below the tower.
On the flat Earth
So
model,
in
you've got the
crisp,
tower. You've got the
in
mountains
crisp
above the tower.
quality, long distance photography, and
Okay.
mediocre photo, both showing the same thing, which tells you one thing: bad conditions or fantastic conditions, the object's heights change very little. So throw in your magic refraction and your atmospheric lensing and all that bullshit, but don't just say it, calculate it, and show us the numbers. Thank you.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's a model that is presupposed, which is what we don't have. All we can go by is observe phenomena in nature. And this is not what would happen on a flat Earth. This bottom picture is, it's not what we see on a flat Earth.
Well, that's doublespeak.
Don't see the tower lower than the mountain on a flat Earth.
Well, show us.
Show you what?
Show us how that takes place. Just saying it doesn't make it real, Chemo.
You've got to be able to model it correctly if you're trying to model the flat Earth. You've got to include all the variables. That includes the magnification, atmospheric lensing.
Yes, and that includes my part when I said I don't like repeating myself.
Timo, do you understand one simple thing? If something is lensing or magnifying at a distance, if those objects are really, really far away, those objects are being so-called magnified uniformly.
No,
doesn't
not
matter
uniformly.
if
It's not
further
uniform.
or closer. If you're at great distance with high magnification zoom lens with so-called narrow field of view, then everything in the distance will magnify the same uniformly.
False. Let me explain
Jesus
why.
fucking Christ.
Let me explain why.
No, it's not false. It's not false, and this is easily demonstrable.
Okay. That the temperature at those mountains is a different temperature to the one at the towers. So we have a sheet, a layer that is covering the towers. And then we have another sheet, another layer, another sheet covering the mountains, which gives you
bollocks, Chemo. That's bollocks.
Chemo, have you ever even gone to high elevation? Have you ever been to mountains? Do you know that at 500, 600, 700, whatever meters elevation, you have literally no refraction at those in the elevations anymore because the atmosphere is getting thinner and thinner and thinner.
Okay, so as I just said, each layer, because you have different temperatures, like I said, the temperature at the mountains will be different to the temperature at the towers.
No, it wouldn't. Chemo, did you know how cold it was when that image was taken?
Was there snow on top of the towers?
Do you know there was also snow everywhere? It was freezing cold. Do you know it was colder probably in and around Blackpool because it was getting down to about -5, -6, -10, -1. It was below zero. And yes, there was snow on the mountains, but that doesn't mean just because there's snow on the mountains that it's not like the same temperature. Are you having a laugh?
What, was there snow on the towers?
No, but it doesn't really snow in Blackpool because of the salty sea air. You don't get a lot of snow in and around Blackpool. It's very infrequent.
Is it warmer?
But the temperature was fucking freezing. No, I've just told you why it doesn't snow.
But if
the sea air keeps the snow from falling here. But on the mountains, yes, you get a bit of snow. But that doesn't mean that it wasn't absolutely freezing at that time. Because it was. It was freezing over the whole country. Bitterly cold. So you can't just claim that it was like 25 degrees in Blackpool and -10 on the mountain.
Okay, so you just said there was salty air by Blackpool, which would make the air...
That's why... Hold on, wait a minute. Don't try and turn around and say that I don't want it to be a fucking argument about why we don't get snow in Blackpool. I want to go back to the fact of the matter where you turned around and said that it would have been warmer in Blackpool and colder on the hill. And that isn't the case. Just because there was snow on the mountain didn't mean that it was absolutely freezing here in Blackpool at the same time. So don't claim that, because it was bitter everywhere.
Here, Ranty, real quick. I posted 2 links: the current temperature of Blackpool and the current temperature on the mountain. They are both 52 degrees Fahrenheit, whatever you want for Celsius, but they are the same temperature right now.
There you go, Chemo. And I'm telling you, the whole country was freezing cold. In February, it was bitter, mate, all over. It would have been below 0 or around about 0. And just because there's snow on the mountain, you can't suddenly try and tell people that it was like -20 on the mountain and sunny tropical weather in Blackpool.
Kimo, there's only one way flat earthers could actually falsify this image and Bev's image and the Ranty's image and everything. All they have to do is just go there and snap a picture where the tower is shorter than the mountain on the background. When they do it, then they have a case. Until such time, they have no case.
Okay, so let's try again. So we know that we can have different weather conditions, just as far as like a couple of yards. You can have rain in one section and it's not raining in another section. Now, we know that by Blackpool, there's a lot of salty air. Now, obviously, what happens when there is a lot of salt?
Oh, you just got told that. What are you talking
Am I
about,
going to
man?
finish?
Yeah, but let me just ask you for one request
I'm
before
going to
you
answer your
carry
question
on.
until I finish, but you can make your point.
Before you include this, include your numbers for us, please.
Have you finished?
Thank you. Yep.
Okay, so like I said, so what we've got here by Blackpool, as we've just heard, a lot of salty air. There's a lot of salt in the sea, a lot of salt in the air, and obviously when there's more salt in the air, that makes it more dense. Yes? And obviously if it's more dense, we're going to have a lot of...
No.
You're
an idiot. It makes it less dense.
It would make it less dense?
Of course.
What, more salt in the air makes the air less dense?
Jesus Christ.
Are you saying salt in the air makes air less dense?
Kim, I'm actually saying that, for example, if you have a lot of water vapor in the air, is the air more dense?
I'm saying if we add salt to water or to air, does it make it less or more dense?
Less dense, obviously.
It's less dense.
Of course.
Why?
How is it less dense?
Yeah, Harley,
Hold on, Bio. I've got this.
Wrong.
Remember, I'm the leader
I'm on
of
your
the new
side,
school
Kimo.
here.
I don't think you can state
I've got
it correctly.
this. Let the Glober make his mistake and stupidity. We're going to expose the liars and the deceivers. So, Harley, how is the air...
Why are you getting so emotional? I'm
How
on
is the
your
air,
side.
Harley?
tonight,
How is the
Kimo?
air, Harley? More
Interesting.
less dense, Harley. Clever clogs.
Give me 1 second.
Still waiting, Harley. How is the air with salt less dense?
I'm still waiting for you to actually answer a question at all, Chemo.
So, Harley,
you can't
we've just
demand
heard there
anything,
is salt
can you?
in the air, salt in the water. How is it less dense, Harley?
Do you know what water consists of? It's two. Let's take water.
No, he doesn't.
No, I'm on about the density, Harley. If we add salt, why did you say it's less dense?
Because.
Here's a question.
Hold on, please. Hold on a second, please. Harley, why did you say the air, the water, is less dense with salt?
Because he's a glob.
Please, percent. I need an answer. I want to answer from this guy.
Okay. What salt is made of? It's as we know, it's sodium chloride. Is it true?
I don't know. You tell me how it's less dense when we add salt to something.
Well, you
It's
need
the same effect as when you had moisture or water vapor in the air. It makes the air less dense.
How?
Jesus. For example, moist air is less dense than dry air, for example, because water has a lower molecular weight than, let's say, nitrogen and oxygen in the air. Since lower air density offers less resistance to the... Not resistance, let's say. When you have less...
Go ahead, percent, when you're ready. Say my point.
let me think how to say it, because I've had to explain it in a different
We're dealing
language.
with utter morons who think that the Earth is a ball.
No,
spinning,
it's just that
flying
you're an
through space,
impatient
who
cunt,
thinks adding
Chemo.
salt makes something less dense.
Dry air is always the highest density. Do you understand that? And why this
You are
is
an
so?
Don't be a prick.
utter
Chemo.
moron,
Just put your
Harley.
language barrier. Jesus Christ.
Well, you're saying dry air, air without water, is more dense than air with water?
Absolutely moronic this guy is.
So if I have a balloon of air, and then I put a little bit of water in there, it's going to be less dense now?
We are talking about gaseous state of matter, not water.
Yeah,
What about
okay,
the
so
atmosphere?
I have a balloon, and I have a little mist, like a humidifier that's spraying mist, and I put some mist in there, some water vapor in the balloon. It's
Not
now
water vapor.
less dense?
It's not
it's
water vapor.
counterintuitive, but he's correct. Counterintuitive, he's correct. Water molecules, I guess, cause the molecules to be more spread out. It's
But wouldn't they just
counterintuitive, but he's
condensate?
correct. The condensation would be
No, they
a much
wouldn't.
higher water content.
He's even making the other ballers now try and defend the lie and to defend the nonsense.
No. Chemo, I told you from the beginning that I'm disagreeing with him, but you wouldn't let me speak. But
I know, because
yes,
I
I'm
wanted him
agreeing with
to
Harley.
dig. I wanted him to dig his hole deeper and deeper, and to show how this is a guy who knows nothing about what he's talking about.
For my fellow Globers, I just posted a link that shows that dry air is actually
Salty
denser than liquid air.
like better than sticky air. Or you can use.
So don't throw this guy under the bus, because he is correct. Dry air is denser than liquid air.
Yep, not the information that I'm looking at.
Oh my gosh,
Sorry,
ballers
Kimo,
all over
I-
the place, and this is why we are the leaders of the new school. None of you guys know what you're talking about, right? Get your act together, ball earthers. Is it less dense or more
Kimo.
dense? Sort your life out. Sort yourself out.
Jesus Christ, I wasn't prepared to explain this
You're
in,
not
in
prepared for
detail
the
because
leaders
I
of the
wasn't
new
even
school, that's
expecting
right.
that you're so dumb to
You're
not
not
know
prepared
that
for
dry
this
air
what's
is
to come. You're not
more
prepared
dense.
for winter. No, of course you're not prepared for the storm that's coming ahead. Of course you're not
Hold on
prepared
a
and ready
second.
for what's
I
coming.
never met the person who
Not
doesn't know
prepared
that
for
dry
you
air
being
is more
such a
dense.
dickhead.
Of course you're not prepared for the people who've realised the Earth's not a spinning
you
ball
stop the
flying through
rhetoric,
space.
Kimo?
Of course you're not
That's
prepared.
got nothing to do with the spinning ball. Stop straw manning.
Harley might be
Alright,
right on
let's
this.
get back
I
to-
might be wrong.
Right, so let's get back to my point.
Hold on.
Let's
Hold
get
on
back
with
to
the
my
water.
point where I'm crushing
hold
the
on.
globe.
Hold on with the
Posho,
water,
stop
Kimo.
interrupting me. I was
No,
making
I'm
my
not
point.
interrupting you,
Well,
Kimo.
you're
Harley.
not doing anything,
You're
Chemo.
just saying a bunch of rhetoric. I'm just saying a bunch of
Posho, I
water.
want to make my point. I was
Well, you
I was in the
should've
middle
made
of answering Harley, and Harley said, "Ha ha ha! Why is it more dense? So it's less dense." Interrupted me. Okay.
Make your point quickly, Kimo.
Posho, let me finish my point. Stop derailing.
Well, hurry the fuck up.
Okay. So, as we are aware, Blackpool has a lot of salty water, salty air, as it were, which would make it a little more dense than where the mountains are. And we know there is snow on the mountains, which means that layer, that sheet, has a different kind of magnification, a different kind of refraction to the layering that we find in Blackpool. Now, in order to model this correctly,
This is just your speculation, isn't it, Chemo?
no,
This
I
isn't
posted the
actual
video.
true
No,
fact. This is just
we've got-
your speculation.
No, we've got the experiments to go with the hypothesis. We've got the hypothesis. We've got experiment to go with hypothesis.
And what's that?
It's the
Tell us what
experiment
your
to go with
hypothesis is.
hypothesis. The hypothesis
Yeah,
is
what's
that
your
there are
hypothesis?
layers. They are layers like magnifying layers throughout the atmosphere.
And how would you go about showing evidence for that?
Well, we have the mountains, we have the snow on. That's cold over there, one layer. And by Blackpool, nice and warm, a warm front.
Well, we've already had that explained by Ranty that that's a load of shit and it's all the same temperature. So try again.
Oh, there was snow on top of the towers now, is there? There's too much salt.
No, Chemo, you obviously weren't listening.
What
You are
happens if
just
you pour
too
salt
stupid to
on
listen
snow,
even.
Mippet? What do they do when it's snowing outside, Mippet? What do they throw on the floor for the drivers to drive over, Mippet? Mippet?
Ooh,
What did
well,
you put
I
on the
live in
floor,
a country that
Mippet?
doesn't fucking have snow in my state, so get fucked.
What did the
I don't
salt do to
care
the snow,
what they
Mippet?
fucking do with snow.
What did the salt
Ranty
do to
has
the
said,
snow?
and he lives in the place, that it's the same temperature and the tower and the mountains. So don't fucking lie.
When there's snow on the road, Mippet, what do they throw on the road to move the snow?
Well, your fucking idiot brains would probably do a really good job.
Here, real quick, I was wrong. I called out Harley for being wrong, but no, I was wrong. Harley was correct from the beginning, Kimo.
Oh yeah, so it's less dense, yeah?
I can explain
more.
Oh yeah, so you were wrong.
Oh yeah,
Are
so
you going to say sorry that you were
adding salt to a
fuckwit?
medium makes it less dense. Is that what you're saying?
Kimo, I'll explain. Kimo, I'll explain. So
No, hold on. Are you saying that adding salt to a medium?
Kimo, can you please not interrupt people when you ask a question and someone's going to answer?
I'm trying to get my question out first. Are you saying
you already asked?
Are you saying adding salt to a medium?
Explaining.
Kanta, are you saying adding salt?
We're talking about something different, Kimo.
No, we're not. We're talking about the medium. No, we're talking about the medium.
Here, Kimo, how about you listen to his explanation?
We're talking about the medium. Adding salt to a medium, you said makes less dense.
You're hogging the mic, Kimo. You're hogging the mic.
I've made my point.
Moist air versus dry air. Dry air is composed mostly of oxygen and nitrogen. Oxygen is O2, nitrogen is N2. If you add moisture, if you add water, that's H2O. H2O is two hydrogen atoms. Hydrogen is very light, two hydrogen and one oxygen. That is lighter than O2, which is two oxygen, that's two big atoms, or N2, that's two big, relative to one oxygen and two hydrogen. Therefore, if you're adding H2O, you're adding moisture, you're adding a less dense molecule than the other O2 and N2 molecules. Therefore, the density of the air increases.
Yes. Okay, so do you have an experiment to go with your hypothesis?
This is fact. That's just...
Okay,
if you don't understand what I just said, then you don't understand basic chemistry.
Do you have an experiment to go with your hypothesis?
Not a hypothesis. It's
so no experiment, no hypothesis.
Did you not do high school chemistry? This is all basic high school chemistry.
Did you have an experiment to show this?
Did you skip that? This is all very basic physics.
Oh, so here come the ad homs. No experiments and just ad homs.
No, you are the ad hom.
So that's why we are the leaders of the new school, because we have the experiments where you guys have the poetry.
You have to disregard even the most basic science and say, okay, I want you to go produce. Hey, Cantor, go make a YouTube video to show this, because otherwise, if you don't personally go, Cantor, if you don't go personally make a YouTube video, then I can't believe this.
Well, here we go.
And Cantor, if you bring me textbooks and studies and all this stuff, I'm going to discount all of that. I'm going to discount everything written. Only some guy in his garage making a YouTube video. That's the only thing that I can trust. Well, even if it's just basic high school science, you're still going to disregard it. But you don't have to accept it. That's what you do, Kimo.
So it's Sunday. We're now in the
I'm
religious
glad you
class.
agree. I'm glad you agree. Because that's what you do.
Amen.
You disregard any science that's not some guy in a garage on YouTube.
Amen. Yes.
Even if it's basic high school. I mean, this is actually more like middle school
science. Just keep repeating yourself.
So the fact that
spiraling, Cantor.
The fact that you have to always do this shows you're not interested in truth.
You said this about 5 times. You are spiraling.
No. I'm just pointing out how ridiculous your position always is.
One more time. Globe abortion, all applauding. Cheers, big heads, small enormous. From cradle to grave shall be like tortoise. That's what our lives every day is exhausting. Nothing more boring than the scene.
Are you allowed to be singing hogging the mic? Are you allowed to be doing that?
Boring.
When Jam's here, he can do whatever he wants. That's why he does it. If Jam was here, he wouldn't be behaving like this.
Well, look, all we're doing is looking for the science to go over the observed phenomenon. Look, you don't have any science for your observed phenomenon. We're trying to figure out, do you have a flat Earth model to replicate what you would think happened on the flat Earth? Don't. So provide a flat Earth model and show what we would see or you expect to see.
No, you've got to provide the flat Earth model, you mong.
You don't make
Jesus
claims.
Christ.
You don't make claims, Mippet.
You do. You're saying that it's flat, Chemo. That's a claim.
It measures flat.
Do you not realise? No, okay. Prove that. Show us your measurements. How does it measure flat?
When you
How did you go about measuring flat,
When you
Chemo?
establish your horizontal plane, there is no drop from the horizontal.
Chemo, what happened to let me
That's not a measurement. That's some words.
That's a
Horizontal is a
measurement.
word. Tell me the measurements. How do you go about measuring it?
Zero drop from
How did they come
horizontal.
up with the word horizontal?
Gosh, she has no clue what she's talking about here. The horizontal is the measurement. There's zero drop.
Oh, it is. Horizontal is not a fucking measurement. It's a word.
Can you measure them?
It's a descriptive word.
Go percent.
Why did they use that word?
He has no idea.
Yo, I've been trying to respond for a whole
How would
minute.
you establish then, Mippet?
Asking me?
How would
Oh,
you,
sorry.
How would you establish, Mippet, the horizontal?
You're the one that's doing the experiment. You're the
How
one
do you know
that
there's no
just said
how do you
there
know it's
was
not-
measurements.
how do you
I
know-
just asked what measurements, and you can't answer me.
How would you
Ha,
know
ha,
if
ha,
it's a
ha,
measurement
ha.
or not?
Gotcha, chemo.
How would you know if it's a
Fuckwit.
measurement or not if you don't know how to establish a horizontal?
Chemo, can I finally respond from before?
Go show.
When you were singing
Go
and doing
show.
all sorts of shit.
Go
I was trying to
show.
respond 5 minutes ago.
Coach, I'm asking Mippet a question. You're interrupting that.
Yeah, you're asking her how she
So
gonna measure
Mippet, if
horizontal.
you don't know what a horizontal is, how do you know it's a measurement or not if when you're establishing it? How do you know it's not a measurement if you don't?
I've just asked you, chemo. Explain to me how do you measure a horizontal? Tell me how the measurements work. How do you go about doing it? I want to learn, chemo. You've got to teach me these things. So how do you go about measuring flat or a horizontal?
Well, what you're looking for is a drop from a horizontal, Mippet. So you establish your horizontal.
No, that's a word, chemo.
Don't you know how to establish something? You know English, Mippet. Yeah.
Well, you obviously.
Still there? Lost you.
Yes, I'm still here.
Yeah, so we're just
No,
going
I'm
to
still here.
establish the horizontal, and then we're going to measure if there's any drop from the horizontal. And there's no drop.
And how are you going to go about that measurement, chemo? What measurement? Do you measure it in unicorn farts or miles or feet or inches or how are you measuring this? Explain to me the process of measuring a horizontal.
Mippet, you're being silly now.
How can you say there's no drop from
Because I asked the
horizontal?
question, you can't answer that.
Don't you know what a horizontal line is?
How can you say there's no drop from horizontal, chemo, in this image?
No, I'm asking Mippet if she knows what a horizontal is.
I know what a horizontal line is. I
Right.
don't know what a horizontal is. There is no such word in that context.
Right,
A horizontal isn't
horizontal
a
line.
measurement.
Yeah.
It isn't a thing. It is a descriptive word, chemo.
Right, so you just said
So don't
you just said horizontal line.
go.
Yeah. So you know what a horizontal line is.
Yeah. This isn't.
So
This
would you
isn't
know
Bev
if that
time.
line, Mippet, was turning vertically? How would you know?
Yeah, what a dick.
Why would I care?
Yeah, but if you had a line and then it started to turn vertically, how would you know?
Because
Well,
you
how would
wouldn't
you
have
know?
a perpendicular. You wouldn't be perpendicular to the horizontal anymore, would you?
That's what I'm asking Mippet. He understands a horizontal, and then if there's any drop
What's your
or
point,
deviation-
chemo? You've taken a long time to get to
Well,
the first
Mippet is,
answer of
very
your
hard of
numbers, which
hearing,
you
very
haven't
slow at
provided.
learning.
You've given me a roundabout explanation where you drone on, started singing and everything, trying to take the floor. Would you please provide some fucking substance to your argument?
Well,
It's been
again-
a week. It's been a week, and you've got no numbers so far.
Well, we're not about to presuppose any sizes without any practical measurement.
We've got
In other
all
words,
the measurements.
you'll never get nothing and you'll never have nothing and welcome to the globe.
It's your job
Yeah,
to
it's
prove
just-
the globe, not us to prove
It's
flat
just
Earth.
ridiculous.
No, it isn't. Well, that's where you're so wrong, chemo. That's your problem. If that's what you think, then you really have no idea.
You observe
Yeah.
flat, so you don't need to question.
And you just want to be insulting to Mippet, so do all the horrible shit you just did then.
Oh, ask me what a horizontal is.
Really mod like
Exposing the globers
chemo.
for showing that they don't know what they're talking about.
No,
Sorry.
chemo. When you were going,
sorry, people.
how do we move the snow off the ground, Mippet? When you were doing that, you cunt, and you do it from the safety of where you are right now. Do that across a table from someone, and you get a fucking awakening real quick. The point is, Chemo, is that you have been presented with the argument. We don't want to hear rhetoric. We don't want to hear anything. We want to hear refutation using logical arguments against it. If you say the words, I don't have an argument, that's an argument. What's it going to be?
He can't answer a question. I knew it. He can't answer. You can't do it, can you, Chemo? You just can't answer a question. Yeah, right. 1 sec. Oh.
Yeah, it must have been
Yeah, that was just had a line or something.
So he wasn't listening, so who cares?
Look, all we do is expose the globe liars. That's all we do.
No, all you do is be a dickhead and insult people.
I'm sorry,
Hold on,
Mippet. I
hold
wasn't
on,
trying to
Mippet, hold
insult you. Please
No, you're not.
forgive me. I am sorry. I am.
Hold on.
No,
Good.
you're not.
I am Mippet, I promise. I'm...
Right, so back to it,
Don't
Chemo.
believe, I don't believe you.
Mippet, what can I do?
Okay. What are
You,
your
you
numbers?
lie so much, I don't believe you, Chemo.
What can I do to make it up to you?
Fuck
you
up,
can't
Chemo.
do anything because you're a liar.
Mippet, I want to make
Let's
it
move
up to
on.
you.
Let's move on. What are your numbers
No, I'm
to
sorry
refute?
that I've upset Mippet. Mippet, look.
I'm not upset at all, Chemo.
I'm
I just wish
upset.
you'd answer a fucking question. You're so boringly obtuse sometimes.
Want
You
excitement?
just need to actually answer a question with an answer.
Mippet,
Not
are you
with
looking
another
for
question,
excitement?
not with a, oh crap, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. What you need to do is listen to a question being asked and then you answer that question. It's really simple. I've got every confidence that you every confidence.
See how I crushed
You got to prove
Harley
me right
earlier on?
or prove me wrong.
You see how I crushed Harley earlier on?
No, you were wrong about the denser air and the less dense air. You got it in reverse. So
What,
no.
Did he have an
And
experiment?
you
to go-
created your argument based off what Randy talked about when he talked about Blackpool having salty air. It's pathetic that you work like this.
Does he have a
After
hypothesis
1
to go
week,
with his
you have
experiment?
no refutation. And let me expand on that. The entirety worldwide of the flat earth community have no refutation to that, because Baldy Cats, Conspiracy Cats, has received, as of yesterday, 0 emails. 0 emails completing the challenge set by Cats, Ruhif, and Ranty on that presentation.
Oh.
Might I add that you haven't
Back in a
watched
sec.
yet.
Back in a sec.
Oh, more drugs to sell? Okay.
Well,
to
let's
declare
ignore him and
victory.
find something else to talk about. Quick,
Honestly,
before he comes back.
I've known people like Himo who dip away and come back and, puff on something while they're talking. It just screams drugs to me. He can refute that if he likes, but all signs point to that.
He wants to dispute like just basic chemistry. So
That's
like
basic.
basically what he wants to do is to imply that just even basic chemistry is part of the hoax. Everything that
Sorry about that, guys. Go on.
Everything, Chemo, everything that we build so much of our society on, just basic chemical interactions, that you want to call even that into question. And unless someone demonstrates it in their garage in a YouTube video, you won't even trust that.
Yeah, like BioDuel is about to. See, I become a globe earther after BioDuel when he shows his.
There you go. You let him get. You let him get away. You let him get away from the
I'll be the
argument.
next one on the globe side after
Yeah,
BioDuel
it's
conducts this
pathetic.
experiment.
Chemo, you're not answering questions. Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
He
what
has
was
to
it?
take a break, and when he comes back, it's a bait and switch.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying, be prepared, guys. That Chemo will be a glober after BioDuel shows mass attracting mass in a vacuum. That's it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how about Chemo fucks off until then, hey?
No, because right now we've got the globe lie to expose. We've got the globe liars to.
No, well, that's
Right,
just
start.
it. You don't
All right.
answer questions. You've got no measurements. You've got nothing, Chemo. So I'd zip your lip and let some of these other gentlemen that actually know what the fuck they're talking about. I'm here to learn things. So if you zip it and let them continue, please.
I'll put it away. Go on.
And while you're being silent, Kima, I'd like you to work out the planar measurements, please.
Okay. Getting that back out again.
Okay. So here it is. Here are the measurements you need. The distance from the camera to the mountain, 81.47 kilometers.
Including magnification.
Okay? No, that's the distance between them. Okay. Remember, it's planar, so it's this perfectly flat, level table.
Yeah, but you already get that over water.
No. Listen. Linda.
Can't do it over land. It's got to be done over water.
It doesn't matter. This is just a simple measurement that I want you to bring back the answer for.
Water cannot conform around the exterior of an object.
It's a thought experiment, Chemo. You fuckwit.
Guys,
listen,
I'm so sorry. I took
sheeple.
away gravity.
Without biodual, there is no conformity around the exterior of a globe.
Can you focus, Chemo? Or did you just have some drugs or something that you can't focus on?
What I'm trying to say is that
line of questioning.
Even if we show that water is curving around the ball, we've got to wait for biodual to present the gravitational force, which is massive.
Who brought water into this? You did,
talking about
not
curvature,
me.
Aren't we? And the Earth is
Listen
not flat,
to me.
It's a curving ball.
You're a fucking wanker. Listen. I want you to create a object 763 meters tall at one end. Now, the other end is the observer at 0 feet tall. And that's 81.47 kilometers away. Okay? And in front of the 0 foot observer, you've got a object, whatever you want it to be, 158 meters tall. And that object is 19.62 kilometers away. Now, using purely a flat plane that you think you live on, how big is that 763 meter object from the observer in angular size? You don't need water, you don't need curvature, you don't even need a fucking Earth. You just need that distance between them. Go. Bring your answer.
Well, again, as we're scientists...
Or, right now, admit ignorance that you don't know how to do it.
Look, we are scientists. We deal with observed phenomena in nature. Now, we have an observed phenomenon from Ranty. Thank you very much for that phenomenon. Now we can get to work. This is where we get busy. This is where we rub our hands and say, hey, you're going to come up with a hypothesis and predict the cause.
You choose not to understand it. And it's really, really pathetic. And it gets on people's nerves that you're an idiot and just everyone has to repeat everything they say 12 times. And then you've got to say, well, they said this 12 times. It's a horrible, horrible way to carry on a conversation. You need to listen and then answer. And then ask a question while the other person is listening, and then they get to answer. It's really simple.
Yeah.
Please try and work it out.
Okay,
but see, what I just did there was highlight that Chemo didn't even notice any of those measurements that I gave him were directly from Ranty's observation and explanation. He wasn't even able to identify, oh, that's from the presentation that they gave. No, proving the point that you don't even know what the fuck you're debating right now.
Thing is, Sheeple,
you're pathetic calling yourself any type of researcher or truth seeker.
Thing is,
announcing it to everybody who listens on YouTube. Oh, we're the fucking new school. You're the no school.
Thing is,
you've got nothing.
Well, the way that we go about it, Sheep, we look in the world, the natural and physical world, and we look for observed phenomena in nature that we can predict a cause to.
Right.
So we don't really calculate...
Okay, so the mountain is not in nature?
Well,
the mountain's not nature.
We don't really do presuppositions, calculations, and try and work it out by guessing. What we do
Right.
was
So the
predicted?
known distance and the mountain are not in nature. That's not real. That's some movie scene.
What, did you measure it?
It's known distance.
Ah, so that's a guess. So we don't do things
So
like
it's
that
a
in the real world.
known distance.
Did you measure it?
Travel time, walk time,
You
flight
measure it?
time.
The same tools were used for when flat earthers present any evidence with distances. The same tools are used.
But I'm asking,
fine
did
point.
did people measure it?
If
Okay,
you
so
can
just a
refute
guess.
that
Let's
the
move
measurements
forward.
are wrong,
Stop holding us
sure.
back. Saying the same thing over again on a guess. You guess that it's been measured, someone measured it, blah, 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 maybe,
Sure, there'll be a
maybe.
deviation, but
Maybe,
for you to
maybe.
say it's not
Maybe you did,
around
maybe you didn't.
81
We'll never know
kilometers,
until you measured it, right?
absolutely pathetic.
We'll
Line of
never know
sight.
until you measure it. So maybe, baby.
All the
Let's move
flat Earth
forward.
measurements use the same technique, chemo. So
Okay,
if you
maybe.
wanna,
Okay,
if you want to
fine.
call that into question, then that means all
Hey,
your flat Earth
that's
proofs are
your
wrong.
That's right, the black swan goes out the window.
Okay, fine. That's your hypothesis.
I guess you're admitting that you can't back up any of your flat Earth proofs.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
That's the hypothesis. But what we do have.
We're just applying your standard to all
Good.
of your
You should
measurements.
apply this standard, and you'll get
So
knowledge.
now you have
not
nothing.
guesses.
Even though you claim victory, you have nothing, and you always, anytime you have a break in a conversation, you claim victory. But
Yeah,
what we're
because the
showing
reason
you
why
is
we
that you have
claim
nothing
victory is
based on
because
your
we
own
don't
standards.
guess the answer. We use science to manipulate our independent variable.
You're just blabbering about things that are not related.
So, for example, we look at Ranty's picture in nature, and we say,
Like you don't want to address
what
that
is
your standard
causing
that you're
that?
requiring. You don't even meet your own standard. You don't want to. You just skip past that. Like you have 3 people trying to talk to you about that right now.
Well, again, you're trying to predict the calculation, not
You're
the
skipping
cause to the
past the
effect.
point. The 3 people are trying to make
because
you.
it's so wrong.
Let's not predict the calculations. Let's have actual
The exact same
actual
thing the
measurements,
flat earthers
or
do. The
let's try
exact
and
same
predict
thing
the
the flat
cause to the
earthers do.
effect.
The exact same thing the flat earthers do when they make their measurements. It's the exact same thing.
Chemo, the
If you
calculations.
wanna-
Sorry, go ahead. My fault.
Go for it.
Don't give him the answer, Baju.
No, the calculations are the predictions. That's what those are, and then we can match that to reality, and see how well they hold up.
Well,
The
who's matched
calculations
it
are
to-
the predictions.
Who matched it to reality?
Yeah, one of them matches reality. Yeah.
Who did that?
Competent people. Competent people can.
Who?
And have.
Who?
And have produced it.
Who?
And provided it
Who
for
are
a
they?
week now.
Where are they? Who are they?
I posted it probably like 20 times. I know
Ah, the
Ranty has plenty of
boogeyman.
times,
Ah, your
and I know
imaginary
other
friend.
people have as well. There's
Your
plenty of
imaginary friends,
calculations,
yes.
and those are the predictions. They're
What
not
imaginary
confirmations.
friends?
They're the predictions.
Oh, you have imaginary friends that do imaginary things.
I know that you want to attack me rather than the argument,
No,
but the
just
argument
ballers
still
in
stands.
general have imaginary friends who do imaginary things.
It's very telling, right, when he goes after the person
Well,
instead
where
of
are
the
these
actual
imaginary
argument.
people then? Like saying, oh, I've got a girlfriend and she's like this, she's a model, but where is she? Oh, well, you can't see her.
Baju, DM them so he actually has to go to his DMs and no, you've posted in the main chat.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
fine.
I'm sorry.
It's
so
fine.
I have done these calculations.
Oh, so you guessed what they were, yeah?
Right. I made predictions. I built hypotheses,
There's
and
nothing
I
wrong with
have
that.
predictions, and now I can match that against reality. And the reality is that picture, and all of Bev's pictures within his GIF, and they all only match one prediction. If you have a different prediction, we would love to see it and see how it matches up with reality.
Well, how did you manipulate your independent cause?
The independent cause would be the shape of the Earth. So I have 2 hypotheses depending on the shape of the Earth.
What was so we got the effect, which is the mountain lower. The cause is the Earth. How did you manipulate the Earth?
I didn't manipulate the Earth. What I manipulated is the independent variable being the shape of the Earth. So what I changed is the particular shape, whether it's flat or whether it curves. That was what I manipulated. Nothing else was changed. The distances are all still the same, and then only one fits. Only one hypothesis works.
Yes, but I'm asking you. You've got an independent variable. The Earth is causing this effect. When did you
He just
manipulate the Earth?
explained it twice. Everybody else here has no problem with that explanation. Why do you ignore it?
Because he hasn't
Because it's
told
a
us
good
how he
explanation that he
manipulated the
can't
Earth.
refute.
Yeah, exactly.
So you didn't manipulate the Earth. This is not science.
Refute
I did.
the explanation that he gave,
Right.
or stop asking the same question he answered twice.
Okay, how did
Refute
you wiggle
it.
the Earth and manipulate your variable?
I'm not going to explain it again, Chemo. It's been
Well,
said.
Sheepa was talking
2.5
all over you
times
every
till I
time you
almost
gave the
said it 3.
answer.
No. It was
Everyone else
quiet.
said chemo.
Right. It was quiet. If you closed your ears, that's a you problem. No one else's problem.
Okay, so this is not science, okay? Because you're
No.
supposed to.
What you're doing is reading chat instead of listening to me.
No, I'm asking you for your independent variable. You said the Earth. I asked you how did you manipulate it.
Yes, and I've already explained it 2.5 times. I almost did it 3 times, but I'm not going to now.
It's all live stream, Chemo. So if you didn't catch it, you can go watch it on the live stream and then get back to us.
No, it's okay. It means that we take the lead and we get to explain our version of events, and yours stays in the background.
Actually, no. You've got to refute something you don't know or pretending you didn't hear.
No,
So how are you going to carry on with the next part of this debate when you don't even know what to refute?
Look, we've got an
go
observed
back and listen
phenomenon
to
in
the
nature.
live stream, Chemo. It's all recorded. You can go listen to it.
It's okay. You can listen and tell me what he
Just
said.
go listen to it.
But an observed phenomenon in nature with Ranty's picture. Now, as scientists, we have to be able to predict the cause to this effect. Now, I would predict atmospheric lensing, magnifying lens. If you remove the atmosphere, as it were, the mountains would look, you would see all of them, basically, or more, whatever you need.
But they don't distort. They don't distort, though, right?
Let 'em.
So how does that work?
Let them manipulate it.
So,
So
is your
how do you?
experiment for this part?
Right. What's your methodology for going forward from this, Chemo? You propose a hypothesis.
Excellent question.
How do you move forward?
Excellent question, Bojo. Now we're listening, now we're learning something. Let's go.
Okay, go.
So there's
Tell
nothing
us.
to learn yet. I'm asking
Now
you
we're
what
learning.
you have a hypothesis. How do you move forward? Let us know.
Now we have a predicted cause that some type of lensing is causing this. So if we remove the lens, we will get a different effect. So, do we have an experiment that agrees with said hypothesis? And there we go. We have
So every time you bring this up, I'm going to bring up that you call it a horizon experiment, but you don't include a horizon in the experiment, and it also doesn't address this picture at all. You're showing that some type of an effect can occur, but you're not at all showing that it is occurring within that picture.
Well, all we have is an experiment that agrees with hypothesis. So all you're giving is poetry with no experiment. You understand?
No. All you're doing is evading the fact that we have known distances and known heights of objects in the real world that you try to refute. So now you've got to explain why the tower is not the height, or the mountain is not the height, or the distance between the observer and the objects are not those distances. You have to start there to refute the argument. You can't go around it and say we do this and we do that and we do this without providing anything at all. Just fucking word salad.
Well, once again, as scientists, we look at the observed phenomena in nature.
Okay, and what is it then? What have you come to find as scientists?
So what we found.
Let him call himself a scientist. It's all part of the fantasy.
What we've discovered upon experimentation is if you remove the lensing from said object, the object will appear as it should. If you include the lensing, then we have all kinds of effects where sinking and lowering can appear to happen.
Right. So sinking is when it shrinks down, but in sinking, there's actually distortion. Did you know that?
Well, as I said to you, there are different.
There's a sandwiching effect.
Well, as I said to you, the temperature
blooming
at Blackpool
causes it to rise up, but also a distortion in the shape or size. What we see in that photo is down to the shape of the mountain, to the scarring in one of the parts of the mountain, all matching the perfect size that they should. No distortion whatsoever. So where is your atmospheric lensing now?
Well, as we know, even where the observer is standing, that is one layer of temperature, which will give them a sheet to look through.
Oh, how? What's the height of the observer?
I think it was 12 feet or something.
Wrong.
No, a lot more than that. I think Ranty said it was
wait,
29 feet, maybe more.
You gotta stop.
Nobody knows. Nobody
You
knows the
gotta
heights.
get him
Nobody
to
has the
watch
numbers.
the fucking thing. If we keep giving him the answers, he's got no reason to watch it.
Look, no one has the
He
facts
won't
to-
learn. He needs to learn, guys.
Oh, who am I kidding? He's not gonna watch it anyway. He's not
Look,
gonna
because
learn
it's
either.
not- that video, no disrespect, Ranty, but the video is not scientific.
That's my fantasy.
It needs to be scientific. If it's not scientific, then it's not something scientists are interested in. I mean, there are guys who like to do calculations and guess what the world is like. That's
All right.
fine. They're free to
Name
do whatever they
one
like.
thing about it that's not scientific.
There's no independent variable being manipulated.
What does that mean, Chemo?
That means the independent
In
variable
what?
is the cause to this effect.
What independent variable
Okay, well,
are you talking about?
Let's
teach me
let's
for
go the other way.
everything.
What is the independent variable that we could manipulate?
That's the
Isolate it.
lens.
Tell us.
The lens in effect.
The lensing effect.
The lensing effect. Yes, that's.
We
What does
just
that
talked
mean?
about that though. We just talked. What else? What else have you got?
That's my predicted.
So your whole flat Earth now rests on
Mhm.
like the possibility of the flat Earth rests on this lensing effect, known to cause distortion and size change, which doesn't occur in this image. So the whole fantasy that you rely on is resting on this little bit of lip service you give to this so-called scientific approach you're trying to take, and
Yes.
that's all you've got.
Well, if experiment agrees with hypothesis, scientific community is
And
happy.
it doesn't.
Well, again, the scientific
Lensing
community are
effects would
happy with the
cause
hypothesis.
distortion
The
or
hypothesis is that if
magnification.
lensing is causing
We
this,
see
we've been
the
able
opposite,
to manipulate the
Chemo.
cause. We've been able to show a different effect. We've been able to vary that effect. And with
Oh,
the,
really?
with the,
Really? Show me the difference then, because when Biv took his son there to take a photo, his son took a pretty much the same ratio scale shot, even though the clarity and the quality was much less.
Now remember, the mountains are a lot colder. That has a different layer.
Nothing to do with it, Chemo. Nothing to do with it.
Everything to do with it, Mippet.
Nothing to do with it.
Behold, everybody, Chemo's flat Earth rests on the proving the one thing which he's hanging and clinging onto, which is atmospheric phenomena making 350 meters of mountain shrink below the horizon without distorting in shape and perfectly conforming to the predicted globe model of curvature.
If experiment agrees with hypothesis, you are correct. Yes, that's right, Sheep.
It does. So he is correct.
Where's his
yes.
experiment?
Where's yours?
Oh, here you go, Mippet. Let me put it for you. There we go. Now, if
Chemo,
experiment agrees
I'll agree with you to a
hypothesis,
certain extent.
you are correct.
That is not your experiment.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not your experiment. I'm not watching it.
That is the
Chemo.
answer to the question.
No, it's not your experiment, Chemo. You didn't do it. I don't count that. That's no good.
Well, we have experiment
You
that
have to
agrees
have
with
done it.
hypothesis.
No, you have to have done it.
No, I don't have
Chemo,
to have done it.
I'll
Yeah,
agree
you have
with-
to have done it, or I
don't have to have
believe
done
it.
Chemo, I'll agree with you
Well,
to a certain extent that the atmosphere can do different things. That's fine. What isn't true is when that area is refracted, when it's obviously refracted in some type of way and there's some type of distortion, it does nothing for the argument at hand. Because Bev provided those pictures within a GIF, and what we see in that GIF is obvious distortion of some kind. Not like oil rig, but it's some. But when we look at this picture, this picture is relatively crystal clear. So we know that even if there was a measurable amount of refraction, it's not doing shit to what we're observing.
What was your observed phenomena, and what was your predicted cause to the effect?
I'm sorry, I've said it 2.5 times. I'm not going to again. But did you hear any of the words that I just said?
Yeah, that you have a guess. You're trying to calculate something without a predicted cause.
So I didn't say any of that.
He doesn't listen. It's incredible. He waits his time to talk. I don't know what you're doing when people are talking. You
I'm
ask for
listening to what's being said, and it's not.
Well, how could
No,
you
you're
not?
You're tossing off.
People,
How
if it's
could
not
you
science,
not
we're not
repeat?
interested in somebody's guess, not your
You're
best
probably
guess.
naked right now.
All we want is your predicted cause to manipulate the variable, and then we have science, and then we can move forward.
Oh my
Very
goodness.
simple. We
You
are
didn't
believers
even
of the new
listen.
school, and
Forward
this will
after
be
you-
the way.
You're ridiculous,
There's
brother.
no other
You're
way.
Am I the
ridiculous.
only one's naked? Is that what you're
You
saying?
guess, you can make guesses all you like, but it's not going to hold water.
I think he is naked.
So, it was a very good image by Ranty. Kudos, we appreciate that image because, again, for the scientists, as ourselves here, we get to go to work and we get to start predicting the cause to the effect. And we get
Really,
to wiggle
you
and
really got to
jiggle,
stop calling yourself a scientist, Chemo, because that's like
and we get to
it has to be
manipulate
some
our
form of
independent
defamation.
variable,
Seriously,
and it comes up with,
Yeah,
come up with a
it's
conclusion
inside.
and an answer. That is how you do science.
agree.
If you have another method, let's listen to
Okay,
it.
Chemo, enough
Oh, is
talk.
he
Enough
talking
talk. What have you done? What have you done? You've had this observation known to you and the flat earth community at large for a week now. Okay? What have you done? I've heard about what the scientists can get to work. When's that going to happen?
Oh, you want to see the experiment? Okay. Here you go.
I want to see the numbers.
Oh no, we don't do calculations. We do science.
Oh, you don't do calculations.
Yeah, we don't calculate. We don't guess. We don't
That's
make any
rich,
guesses.
everybody.
What we do is manipulate
about
the independent
random
variable, and then we have a
Fuck
cause
me.
to the
That
effect.
is awesome.
It is awesome.
See,
That's how we gain knowledge.
we give you enough rope, Chemo. You hang yourself.
Well, what's your best guess? The ball.
no guess.
Right, can you prove it's
Jesus
the ball?
Christ, he really can't
Drop.
work it out, can he?
This is all about
From
you.
horizontal.
No one else, just you.
Well, I can't hear
Drop.
4 voices at once.
Drop, buddy.
Ask the
That's what it shows.
scientist a question. Go ahead.
Do you not see drop
Drop. Where?
in the image?
In Ranty's image. There's an observed phenomenon that he's explaining, yes? If what
Yeah,
you
and
say
it's
is true, the
explained by
mountains
being
are,
a globe.
if the mountains are supposed to be
That's the
higher, we're
explanation.
just taking your word for it at the moment. But
They are higher.
Well, we're just taking your word
They're not-
for it. Nobody
They are
knows it.
physically higher.
Well, again, we're taking your word for it. But and as we do,
No.
So you're saying, so wait a minute, you're saying if you didn't climb that mountain, I mean, if you climbed that mountain and you looked at Blackpool, that Blackpool wouldn't be below the mountain's summit.
well, we don't know because of the atmospheric conditions.
That's what you're claiming right now,
But
right?
again, we don't know because of the atmospheric conditions of the day.
No, no, no,
That's
no.
what you just claimed.
Fuck
Well, we
the
don't
atmospheric
know, that's the
conditions.
whole point.
The physical height, I said.
There could be a day when Blackpool Tower looms upside down.
There
from that
could
position.
be a day. There couldn't be a day.
Exactly.
Why do you do that?
No.
Could be, possibly, whatever.
The whole entire
Deal with
Blackpool,
some facts.
the whole entire Blackpool
deals
promenade
with
could be
is
loomed up in the
facts,
sky, upside
Timo.
down, back to front, and you'd be like, "What's going on?
Facts.
Is Blackpool in the sky?" It depends on the conditions.
Right. So, Kimo,
No,
you just
you're a
said
dick.
standing on a 763 meter tall object, that 158 meter object, 60 kilometers away, would look some days higher than that.
Some days it could.
I.e., you would look horizontally directly from your position out off the mountain or object, and that tower would meet your eye line.
That is atmospheric phenomena.
Are you fucking mental?
That's an atmospheric phenomenon that can happen. Yes.
I think with that sneeze you are. You are mental.
Well, again, the atmosphere can produce all
So you're not
kinds
stupid.
of phenomena. and
You're not
effects.
stupid. You're just mental.
Well, again, the atmosphere can confuse a lot of globers.
Again, yep, it's true.
When they see the sun go behind the horizon, for example, they think they're looking
he's
at the
not
real
refuting
sun.
it, so it must be
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Well,
He's
as
probably
I
got
said,
me
when you're
muted by
looking at
now.
the sun setting, you think you're looking at the real
Yeah,
sun.
way to
the actual
switch.
sun.
Way to switch
Yeah.
the
It's
topic.
the atmosphere.
when it
sheeple,
gets too
same
much.
argument. The atmosphere gives all kinds of illusions, and you guys delusions.
No, you spin all sorts of illusions. Earth's got nothing to do with spinning illusions, mate.
Well, that's what you're. That's what affects you
Literally,
guys. is the
Kimo, you
illusions of the
literally just
atmosphere.
said that an object will rise
Anything is possible with the atmospheric.
400, 500 plus meters.
Remember, Rumpus
to
said you
meet
can see
your
your
eye
own...
line on
Remember,
one day.
Sheeple, calm
and
down.
that won't look
You're losing
weird
it
at
now, you're
all.
spiraling. Rumpus said, let me ask you a question. Rumpus said on the ball, if the conditions are right on a perfect day, which is very far stretched, but he said on a perfect day you could see your own self around the ball. That's extreme,
Oh,
but he said it's a possibility.
I don't care about that shit.
There
Chemo.
you go.
Let's talk about what I'm saying and what you're saying and what Mipit's saying. Stop bringing other people who are not here.
Well,
because if you want me to invoke, Rumpus, you're an utter moron.
What do they call him? A witness enemy? What is he called?
Hostile witness.
Hostile witness. Yeah. So.
Well, he ain't here.
He said,
ain't here.
Anything can happen in the atmosphere.
Yeah, let's not talk about people that aren't here. Hey, Chemo.
You can see your own self all the way around the ball, and I'm saying similar things. Anything can happen, Sheeple, with the atmosphere lensing like that.
Chemo,
guarantee if he was here, he would correct you.
Now what?
Chemo, you do know when we look at a picture that's all fucked up, that we can recognize that it's fucked up, right? And when we look at a picture that's fairly clear, we can distinguish that, right?
No,
we know when something's fucked up and when something's real.
I've always said to the book, I've said this for years. At the horizon, it's never a clear day. Never, ever, ever. Even on the clearest day, at the horizon is still major distortion for that person.
It's not major distortion. You can have major distortion. You can, but we know when that happens. Like you said, if the tower was flipped upside down, we know in reality that isn't actually happen. It's a distortion of the atmosphere. But if we see something and there's no, if we can't obviously see distortion, then it's pretty clear.
What did you say about the tower?
As you said, if we observe the tower upside down, we know that that's not real in reality because we know the tower wasn't built that way. So we know that the image is fucked up, and we wouldn't present measurements. We wouldn't present arguments. We would say, yeah, it's a fucked up picture. That's it. But when we see a picture like the picture provided, we know that there's nothing fucked up about the image.
Welcome to Flat Earth Bio. You could have said it better myself.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But hang on. We've got the facts, the figures, and the numbers.
He just said, when we look at something in the distance, we know that's not what it really is.
Okay. No, that's not what I said, Chemo. I said we know when it's fucked up, and we know when it's clear.
Yeah, so we know. Yeah. We know those mountains are messed up, and that's not clear.
No, yes, it is clear because there's no distortion.
You're picking and choosing when it's clear. You can't do that.
No. Yeah. You're not listening. You're picking particular words. So I'm going to ask you, in that picture, can you draw an arrow to somewhere that's fucked up? Like I can with the Black Swan, with the oil rigs being fucked up. Can you, in that picture, put an arrow next to what's fucked up?
Look, if we saw the towers upside down...
Hansen.
If we saw the towers upside down, we could still draw a line to
No. Answer the question.
Of course
can you draw an arrow pointing to what's fucked up in that photo?
And what's not?
No, just what's fucked up. Because again, with the Black Swan, I could put an arrow next to one of the oil rigs and be like, yeah, this is obviously fucked up. That's not what they look like in reality. Can you do that with this picture we've been talking about for a while?
Ranty's picture. Yeah, of course. We've got the left side.
Okay, do it.
It's been done. Anthony pointed fingers at the and
it's been refuted earlier today by Ranty himself. So what?
That's also not the argument.
And even Adam pointed out that the mountain...
It's got nothing to do with that.
Adam pointed out the mountain...
Adam then made the Earth 2 million fucking miles plus radius.
So we have those pointed out fingers, Bio. We have the same as what you guys have.
That's not the argument. I'm talking about the angular size, the tower, the mountain behind it, blah, blah, blah. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, everything's not in the right position. Adam pointed it out.
Right. Can you explain what's not in the right
moron,
position?
Adam, if you're listening, can you come in here and explain to these guys what you pointed out and what you didn't point out?
So you're making the call.
You're hiding away.
Because I deal with science. I'm a scientist. I look for the observed phenomena in nature.
No, you're not.
Scientist.
Stop doing chemo. You're not a scientist. Stop it.
And if there's an observed phenomenon in nature, I'm looking for the cause and effect, not to calculate things.
Hold on. Disclaimer. The opinions of chemo do not match anybody, and nor does anyone in the
because you're not
in the
scientists. You're the
server
average
flat
layman
Earth or globe Earth
who make
consider
guesses.
chemo a scientist.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
guys are the average layman who make guesses. We as
Hang on,
scientists have
chemo.
predicted causes to effects, and we manipulate that variable. There's a
Chemo.
difference between what you laymen do and what the experts are doing.
Multiple
yes,
times.
lying again.
Hang on.
Lying.
Can I get a mic check? Can I get a mic check? Can you fucking hear me?
Oh, dear. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I just played a mission on Red Dead Redemption 2 with a steak oil salesman that goes, "I'm a healer, I'm a scientist."
Right, where are you derailing now, Davros? Let's get back to the most important point.
Synchrodestiny, Davros.
No, it's the fact of when you said I'm a scientist, it made me think of that exact
no
same
one
person.
knows what you're talking
The
about,
fact that-
Did you shoot that person? Fucking hell.
Look, I mean, again.
No, I had to chase him down the river. I had to drag him out the river and then take him to the lockup.
Davros. Get back to the most important point.
Why even talk to this guy when he makes claims like that?
Oh,
Why
I'm
even
not. I'm
talk to
talking over him and past him, Blue.
Right.
That is about the most absurd thing I've heard on the internet. What I'd expect from a snake oil salesman.
Chemo, that's a dickhead move.
Said that. Who said that? Said that.
Doesn't matter.
I
He was
said,
correct. Whoever said
Stop
it.
being a dickhead.
Why did somebody mute Davros for?
It's just some gatekeeping from chemo.
Chemo
No,
spiraling.
chemo, you're being a gatekeeper. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the only argument he can make is muting others.
Well, no one's going to be able to talk now until Davros is unmuted.
He's unmuted. Oh no, he's not. I thought he was. I thought
Stand together. Stand together in unity.
Scientists ever muting someone.
So, as I said, we are scientists who focus on the most important
No,
things.
we're not listening to you. You're full of shit, chemo, and unmute Davros now.
And the idea that the Earth is a spinning ball flying through space without any scientific evidence is preposterous. Now, as
So, Blue,
scientists...
how did your experiment go?
Bio, George is asking you a question.
No, I was
Oh,
asking
did you ask
Blue.
me?
No, I asked Blue.
I think you
Okay,
should
go ahead.
sit silently until Davros has been unmuted.
Let's all just mute chemo.
That's what I've done. I just turned chemo's volume down.
Okay, as we
Sounds like a reasonable thing to do.
What'd you say, Dress?
When I hear Davros talking again, I'll turn his volume back up. Until
Yeah,
then,
Blue,
I
I
don't care if he's
think-
talking.
I think Dress was asking you about your latest experiment.
Well, no, I kind of agree with Blue at the moment. I think, we now got Davros.
Oh, wow. For that? Wow.
So, as I said, we're going to focus on the most important things, which is the life.
What latest experiment?
Oh, I'm not sure. I think Dress was asking, but he didn't specify.
He didn't want to talk about it.
Well, he did, but you.
Oh, does he?
muted him.
Let's find out. You want to talk about it, Dress? With Blue?
Why did you mute me?
He doesn't want to talk about it now.
Why did you
Wow.
move him? Chemo, why did you move him?
This is
Chemo,
your
why
server
did
now,
you
isn't it, chemo? So this is your
Fucking
server, right? It's not Germs anymore, it's yours, right?
You're
Because you're behaving
spiraling.
like it.
So, Dress, do you want to talk to Blue about his experiment? Find out.
You're
Why
gonna
did you
lose your
move
mods,
Dross? Why did
chemo.
you move Dross, Chemo? Why did you move Dross? What's the reason?
Dress,
What
do you want
rule
to
did
talk
he
Gonna
break?
lose
Blue
your
about,
mods.
do you want to talk to Blue about his experiment?
Unmute
We need
people.
clarity.
I don't want to continue the
He
conversation
doesn't want to
until we
continue
get.
this conversation. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Wow. Okay. Yep. That's the end of my straw. Yeah.
Yeah. So, as I said,
Just change. We can go to a different room to get rid of this fuckhead.
But who said
Yeah,
that?
chemo's down to 6% for me.
Where is
And I'm not going to raise him
Oh man.
probably for a long time.
What, Chemo?
I think, Mole Man. Go to the other room as we proceed to continue to expose.
Nobody's gonna talk to you.
Sorry?
Kosho, are you there?
Nobody is gonna talk to you if you keep on muting people for no
This
reason.
doesn't require a back and forth. This requires an exposure. You guys have lied about the shape of the Earth. You have zero proof, zero evidence.
Fucking psycho.
And what we're
Let
looking
me tell you
for-
something about zero proof or zero evidence. You're making claims that we've been lying, yet you provide no evidence to say that.
Well, we're not the ones making the claim. You've claimed that the Earth is spinning, flying through space.
Kimo, do you understand what the scientific status quo is?
No,
You're the one
explain it to me.
challenging it. Therefore, you have to provide evidence.
Explain
The
it to me.
burden of proof is on flat Earth. We've just been playing the ball with you all this time for no reason.
Well, explain to me then what you mean. If you can't explain, we as scientists are able to explain how to gain knowledge. I don't think you guys quite understand. We are the leaders of the new school. And anyone who pretends that the Earth is spinning, flying through space, in a vacuum, which breaks all the laws of the second violation of thermodynamics. Okay? This is something
Okay,
that-
explain that one. Stop. Explain that.
Explain what?
This violation.
Okay, so what we have is high pressure here on Earth, next low pressure in space. Which if we try to replicate
That's a
this
lie.
phenomenon, if we try to replicate
No,
this,
that's a lie. You just lied. You
About
just
what?
lied
About what?
Wait.
about the high
Let him
pressure.
hang
All right,
himself
sheeple,
first
let him
before we
talk, let him
correct
talk,
him.
Let him talk. Go ahead,
This is my
Highlander.
point to
You said-
highlight how much he doesn't know. Don't
You
correct
lied
him.
about high pressure here next to the vacuum of space.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lie.
let him.
No, it's not.
Yeah, but let him spew his nonsense first
Okay, so what I'm
before
trying to
you correct
explain,
him.
people, you got to let people speak. Freedom of
I'm just
speech.
helping him realize the plan here, Chemo. We're trying to learn from the new school, as you call it.
The leaders of the new school.
The leaders of the new school, right? So please, we will correct you once you explain the violation of the second law, and I'll let Highlander take control. I won't hog the mic. Highlander, when he's finished, you correct him. Okay?
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, so
Now,
what we've got is
go.
An observed phenomena, which would be gas next to a vacuum without a container or without a membrane to stop the gas going into that lower pressure. So we're told. So if you take a look at a picture from NASA, for example, of the Earth, we have this area of black and this area of blue, which would be where we live, this area of blue, which is high pressure. And the area around it, this vast black area with nothing in it, is low pressure. Now that breaks all the scientific laws, because if you try to replicate that in a laboratory, fail every time. Over to you.
Right. Okay. So when have you actually demonstrated this gas pressure next to a vacuum that won't work?
Yeah. So if we create a vacuum, then
Right.
we're not. Once we evacuate all of the gas from the vacuum, then we open that vacuum. Gas will rush into the vacuous area and fill the void.
Right. So your gas that's next to the vacuum, have you replicated the pressure gradient that's here on Earth? Or did you just have an equalized pressure gas next to the vacuum?
I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, I thought you would say that.
Say it again another way.
What do I mean? See, when you do your experiment
Got my
with your
container,
gas pressure
yes.
next to a vacuum, right? Is your gas equalized pressure throughout?
Well, it depends on your perspective. If you think there's a downward bias, well, there would be a gradient, yes?
I'm not talking about a downward bias, right? I'm talking about, did you replicate the pressure gradient in your experiment? Yes or no?
No.
No. Therefore, you can't compare a gas that's sitting at 25 psi next to a vacuum. You release it next to the vacuum, let it expand. You can't compare that with the Earth's atmosphere, can you? Because you haven't created the same conditions.
No.
That's dishonest.
Let me answer
Kimo.
then.
That's dishonest.
Let me answer then. So, again, this depends on your perspective, you see. So you say there's 14.7 psi down here, and the pressure gets less, but that's only based on the model. So we don't know if that's true or not. But all we know is there's gas everywhere, right? We
know it's true.
No, but we only see gas everywhere we go. There's gas, like we breathe air. So the higher we go, we breathe air. It just gets colder. If you stay warm, you'll be able to breathe. So we've never been in an area where there's no gas. But NASA showed pictures of the Earth with this gas that we breathe next to an area with no gas. So that is a law of a second violation thermodynamics breaking. So
again? Sorry, what was that last line? Say that again.
You know, understand the laws of.
No. You're the new school guru leader. Say it again.
I'm just saying, you understand the laws, yes?
No, but what was that last sentence you said?
Look, most important thing is, gas on the Earth is next to a vacuum, and that's what NASA show us. So,
what's a vacuum?
Vacuum is a void of any gas or matter or substance.
Wrong.
Yeah? What do you want to know that for?
That's wrong, though.
What is a vacuum?
There's no place that we know of that is void of matter.
I know.
Or energy.
Do my other eye.
That's the point, Highland. Did you just hear sheeple? So as the gas goes up, it fills the space.
I didn't say that at all. You just talked about next to a vacuum. But vacuum, by the very nature, is less and less and less particles interacting. Vacuous space between the particles. So there is no next to anything.
We're arguing two models here. You know, this is why unless you can prove it scientifically, we're just going into fantasy land. Nobody has been up there into where you call space.
No.
And if there was a space, a gas.
Kimo.
What?
Kimo, we know that there's a pressure gradient here on Earth, and we know what it starts at and what it goes to by the time we get to outer space or the void of space, whatever you want to call it, right? Yeah. We know this, right?
Wow.
For you to claim that that's not true and that this does not work, you need to create an experiment with gas that has a pressure gradient similar to that of Earth, put it next to a vacuum and show that it doesn't work.
Yeah, but that's not what I see.
Until you do that, you cannot claim that it's not true.
No. Right? I don't observe that, Highlander. That's not what I observe in nature. So why am I going to do that?
What do you mean that's not what you observe in nature?
See? I don't observe the gases going less and less and less in nature.
No, so you don't observe anything, Kimo. You're a disrespectful cunt is what you are.
Mippet, you're supposed to be banned for a week.
Yeah, exactly. You can't.
What's going on here? Why is she back? What's happening?
Because you talk sense.
You're losing control, Kimo.
Because she knows what she's talking about.
No, she's there. She's
why is she banned?
Shouldn't be doing.
Why is she banned, Spurs? Why is she banned for a week? What's going on?
Well, I'll message you in the background there.
She did nothing at all.
Stop making up stories, Chemo.
You
do
did
the right thing.
more things worth getting banned for. Kima mocking her and things like that. How does the sperm move, Mipper? You should have been banned for a week.
Unmute her.
This is ridiculous. You lose an argument, you start muting people. You muted 6 people within 10 seconds.
Yeah, I'm afraid to even say anything in case I get muted again.
Terry got fucking muted. Terry never that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a first for me to ever get muted.
Yeah, you're losing control, Chemo, and the
What'd you
argument.
get muted for, Terry?
Good question. I'm saying it's the first time I got muted for no reason.
Sorry, Terry, I
Didn't
couldn't
even-
hear. Everyone else started speaking after I asked you the question. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Sorry, I try to be polite and not talk over people, so I can't
No,
understand
they
why
were
I
talking
get...
over you.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I get muted or got muted. That's the first time.
Yeah, he didn't even open his mic.
Really?
No, he didn't open. He didn't say a word. Druss got muted mid-sentence. Mipper got kicked out from the server, where she was not talking at all. And Chemo's just been taking L after L. So, he's in a spiral. And the only way to win the argument is to mute people and then give us the rhetoric again. That's why you've got a group of people down in the other room. They were all muted. Out of control. Mod abuse.
Yeah, I'm starting to see a pattern with Chemo. He wants the conversation to go down a certain pattern or a road, and if it doesn't go down that road, it's not. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but the thing is, even when he does go down that road, an idiot like me can point out where he's wrong. And if somebody like me can point out where you're wrong, then I'm sorry, but you're severely wrong.
As we proceed to give you guys what you need, globe exposure, flat Earth proof, and the best flat Earth proof is water at rest will find and see level. Now we're told that
some valid points have been raised. Would you like to address them? I mean, especially the meeting of Nip. Can you at least unmute her?
No. Can you address your behaviour, please?
Actually addressing those points. Can you show some respect to the room?
Yeah, so we're not getting into gossip.
It's not gossip, Chemo.
Yeah, it's
We've all been witness of it. You've been losing arguments and you've been muting people mid-sentence. And when they're talking over something and you're not involved, you mute them.
Yeah, well, you guys are causing revolt.
It's not revolt, Chemo. This is abuse. Unanimous decision against you that it's mod abuse. And then you kick Mippet from the server. She was silent.
Mippet knows why.
You're a joke.
Let's keep.
You're a joke. You're the only one in the server who doesn't know how to use their mod powers correctly. Beyond me.
You've driven Big Blue off for the day. Well done.
So, as we proceed, are you still going to complain?
No, I want to deal with the problem, Chemo, because at the moment I'm scared to talk, because every time I talk when you're here, I get muted.
Yeah, I know. I'm afraid
I'm not doing anything wrong.
Guys,
and I'm afraid to bring up a conversation with anyone else in here, otherwise we get told off for talking about something different.
Well, I got a message as soon as I got here that something was going on, so I went back and listened to it, and you're going to hate me for saying this, but what I heard happen was a conversation was happening. Davros decided to completely derail that conversation to tell everyone that a phrase in the conversation was also in a video game he was playing. And this wasn't just a quick aside comment. He went on and on about it, just basically stopping the conversation for that. And then so he got muted. And then what happened was exactly as described. You guys tried to lead some revolt where you said, we're not going to allow a conversation to take place until the moderation that we disagree with has been reversed. Well, that's not a thing. No other mod has to put up with you lot doing that. I've never had anyone do that.
Okay.
And we make this point about not leading revolts over and over. You know, it's just, if someone gets muted, it would have been for a few seconds, maybe a minute or two, and that would have been the end of it. But you guys want to make some. You guys want to make
hours and hours and hours, unless I get another mod to unmute me, Jem.
But you
and it
guys
happens all the time, and I'm not over talking. I just make points he disagrees with, and he mutes
You're
me.
over talking
and
me
it's
right
been
now.
observed. I know, because I strongly disagree with your point, and you would do the same in my position if you strongly disagreed.
Well, usually it's for a couple of minutes, and to be, you know, saying, right, the conversation is not going to continue now until that mute, which was only going to last a few seconds, has been undone. You know, that's not on, guys.
He's banned Mippet for a week. He's muted me for hours at a time until another mod comes in. I don't come in here now unless there are other mods, because I know Chemo will mute me, and I get immediately unmuted by other mods with an apology quite often.
Well, you were muted as part of that happened at...
No, I'm not arguing that point. I'm arguing that this is the sum total of history, Jem. This isn't just what's going on now.
Sometimes a mute gets forgotten about and someone goes away. But normally what we're trying to do is just facilitate the conversation. I see this sort of thing all the time. It's, you know, Chemo does what Chemo does. And if you disagree with a mute, which you inevitably will, just live with it. Because a few seconds later, that will be an unmute. And it really isn't worth, you know, wrecking the place and trying to make some sort of political stand over it. Sorry, guys. I know you always think I come out in favour of Chemo.
I'm trying to be really reasonable. I would say go and have a look at the logs and go and have a look at how many people Chemo unmutes from the ones that he mutes.
Well,
I will make a bet that it's going to be 10 to 15%.
Well, I didn't see anything, you know, that I wouldn't have done. He was trying to get control. Davros was just being totally random, like Davros always is. And then because of that, the rest of you decided you were going to, you know, make some sort of stand and make it impossible for a conversation to take place and impossible for him to moderate. It's not, he's no longer the moderator. You lot are. You approve all of his moderations and decide whether they stay or not. Well, that's not a thing.
I would like him not to be a mod, I'll be honest with you.
Well,
I think there are much better mods in here that do a much better job and allow the conversation to flow. What Chemo's done this morning through kind of the rhetoric is he's driven people off.
How many times have you led a revolt against another mod?
Apart from Chemo, none.
Yes, right.
I've had really strong conversations with CB, and we've done that through DM. I've tried to stick out olive branches, and I'm happy to show you the DMs I've sent Chemo saying, hey, can't we sort this out in a more reasonable way? And that doesn't look fucking good. So
leading a revolt in the middle of the conversation is not doing it in a more reasonable way, is it? That's been totally unreasonable.
I didn't lead a revolt. I didn't say that should happen. When other people mentioned it, I thought that wasn't a bad idea, and I agreed with it, but I did not lead it. And this is a narrative that Chemo wants to put out, that for some reason I am the major instigator. No, what I do is when he's acting shittily, I point it out, and he doesn't like it.
I don't think you are. I think on this occasion you weren't the major instigator. I think on other occasions you have been. I think this time it was Mippet, and I think she got what she deserved.
I admit that I have been way more provocative in the past. If you've noticed over the last 3 or 4 months, I've tried to tone it down. I even, as I said, say, hey, let's sort this out, Chemo, and stop it. I'll stop doing the shitty memes at you. You stop treating me like a piece of shit. That didn't work, so I went back to that. I haven't really said, hey, let's all just, de-roll Chemo. I have said, hey, wouldn't it be great if Ranty became a mod rather than Chemo? I said that, and I think that's still a valid statement. But I agree, and again, I don't have a problem when Chemo mods okay. And I know sometimes I get passionate, and when I get muted like that, I've gone, oh, yeah, fair, okay, I've been a bit dickhead. But it's this constant, oh, Druss, you're derailing. Oh, Druss, you're changing the topic. When I'm commenting on the conversation, the fact that he overtalks me every fucking time I start to talk. Every fucking time, nearly. And he does it to wind the shit out of me, Jem, and you don't see this. and I'm a really patient person. I've got a fucking thick skin.
I don't know, because people keep telling me that I don't see it, but I'm here hours. I listen on YouTube sometimes when I'm not here. I mean, I don't really know what else I could do to see the stuff that I'm not seeing.
It's my opinion, and again, I know that's a subjective point of view, and I'm not trying to say I'm factually right. All I'm saying is, for fuck's sake, Chemo, meet us all halfway, and when you're in the middle of having a debate with people, if there are other mods here, let them do the modding, you take part in the convo.
Well, what I would say, Chemo, is this is the criticism I would make of you. I think you could be a lot less adversarial about this. I don't think you always have to see this as an us and them thing. I think you could let your guard down from time to time and talk about the music that you like, or it's something else. It doesn't have to be
yourself.
It doesn't have to be this constant war going on, Primo. And I think if you did that, you would build a few bridges. People would find reasons to like you that were not connected with this, and that would make your life easier. I think you always want to make it a fight, and it doesn't always need to be. You can just relax a little, mate. Is he still here?
Can I jump?
Yeah.
See, when Jim, when you said about what chemo does, we know he does it, and just bear with it and let it go. But when chemo knows what Davros is like, so why can't he just let Davros be the way he is and let it go and ignore him, rather than mute him and cause all this aggro?
Sorry, just unplugged myself. Yeah. Because I don't think Davros would have done that. Davros wouldn't have done that to me. That's what I think. I don't think he would have done that. I think he might have made that comment, and then he probably would. I'd have said "shut up" or something, and he probably would have done.
Right.
But because it was chemo, this whole thing about no, we're going to talk about what we want, and
well, it's kind of it though, Jim.
Yeah, but that isn't how you get to talking about what you want. You don't just enter a conversation in the middle of it and just railroad it into something else.
That wasn't what it was. We were talking about the observation, and when it got a little bit too hard for Chemo to answer, that's when he took control, muted people, and started, well, we're the leaders of the new school, and he just started a whole new, basically a train of thought we weren't talking about.
I've literally just listened to it. That is not what happened.
Yeah, well, from what I got, right?
It just isn't.
Chemo made a stupid ass comment, which I doubt that somebody like you would make. But he's sitting there claiming he's a scientist, right? And all Davros did was make the analogy that he met a guy in a game that called himself a scientist, and
but he halted the conversation to make this big announcement about this tiny thing that was completely irrelevant.
I think the point of Davros is, the point that he made was the fact that, this guy in the game was, pretending to be a scientist and a snake oil salesman, and anything I can do will heal you. And he was drawing an analogy with chemo there. So there was something analogous about what he was doing, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but he could have waited, and he did go on and on about it. It wasn't just the quick, I just played a game with that in. It was just ranting on about it. And so, I would have given him a quick muting for that so we could get on with it. But, of course, as soon as that happened, then there was a rebellion that Chemo had to deal with. And so he just muted his way through the rebellion. And maybe there would have been another approach to that, but I kind of understand why he did that. It's really
so he can get back to talking about the rhetoric that no one wants to talk about. We wanted to talk about the observation.
Well,
he's switching to the second law violation, which he can't understand, and all that bullshit. We were talking about the observation.
Well,
and when it got too hard, he moved on.
The second before Davros decided to derail, everyone was happy to be having that conversation, or they seemed to be. People were engaged in the conversation.
We talk about the observation, asking purely for the numbers and the scientific approach that he was claiming he had, and it never got there. You know, and we never get a straight answer.
Well, it is
and then we just,
chemo. Yeah, well, that is
yeah,
chemo.
and then we just reset back to, you know, hearing that it's the school of new thought and all this shit. You know, I mean, where is this new thought? I mean, that's what we want.
But he's very
We
poetic.
want to refute it.
He's very poetic. He likes to be. He knows he knows the things to say that
Yeah, it sounds
excite
great.
people.
It sounds great. It really does. I just want to see it now.
Was that
Right, so-
incite people or excite people? I didn't quite hear that.
It's a mixed bag.
So, shall we, Chemo? Shall we call a truce now and unmute Mippet, and let's all just make an effort, including you, Chemo, to just get along, just not be so adversarial.
I'll make you a promise. I will not post nasty stuff about Chemo. I will not say anything negative about him. You know, as long as he doesn't like interrupt me in the middle of a sentence multiple times in a row, which is really fucking annoying.
Well, he's definitely going to do that, dude.
And say derail every time I start talking, which is another thing.
Oh, I was so tempted to mute Russ just then.
So, you know, just please don't try and lead revolts. You know, just if you really think the complaint is serious enough, send me a DM and I will deal with it. But please,
it's a fair deal. I will
think
not.
about
I will,
all we're
I
trying to
will
achieve
not do
is
that, yeah.
all we're trying to achieve is no dead air, constant conversation. That's what we're aiming for. Try and
Absolutely.
think about that goal that and how
Absolutely.
you might achieve it if you were in that position.
I was trying to, and even when he went to the new school stuff, that's when I asked about the second law, because I know he likes to throw it around, you know, second law, but he can never explain it, and you know, I don't know. I don't even know whether even talking to him helps or whether it's simply filling the dead air. But I'm very curious to hear the scientific approach that flat earthers are taking towards this observation, and I don't want to get away from that because I think it's quite a relevant argument to have. And we went through atmospheric conditions like lensing and refraction and things, but that doesn't seem to explain away, you know, what's happening. You know, so I'd like to focus on that instead of moving to other obscure topics if we could.
Where
and
you
if
go,
there's,
Chemo?
Hey?
you know,
So, Jim,
Yes.
how do you get him to stop looping?
Well, it's been 5 years and I haven't managed it yet. So I'm looking to take advice on that.
Okay.
yeah. And before we begin, Chemo, I don't know is an answer. Remember that. I don't know is a perfectly fine answer to give.
Can we just go back to making that a loose rule, kind of, where we're not